Hello, everybody, and welcome back to some EGFC OW2. I am Sepulence, joined by K-Wing, and we're going to be jumping into our first of 3 series here tonight on the main channel. Before we jump into the teams and whatnot, K-Wing, how are you doing tonight? How has your day been so far today?
I mean, my day has been great. Just got done with a lovely meal, and now ready to have some lovely Overwatch action brought to us by Auburn University and the University of Texas Arlington. Now, I mean, we were talking before this, Sept, and we both said that, UT Arlington, you know them, you love them. We know so much about them. Auburn University, though, a little bit of an X factor. I'm not too familiar with their Overwatch exploits, so maybe they're coming in a bit of an unknown. Maybe they'll be a surprise for us tonight.
I'm hoping that they might be, because I completely agree with you. UTA is a notably more recognizable team, especially within the walls of the EGFC. Auburn going to be coming through, trying to make a loud statement here in week number 4, but of course, that's always a little easier said than done, right? And that does make things a little bit more difficult for this team, especially going up against a team as well known and as well versed as a team like UTA. Our map pool tonight as well, one of my favorites that I've seen in the EGFC for quite a while, if I'm being honest, kicking off with 2 of my favorite maps back to back. Ilios into Kings Row. We're jumping over to Saravasa, and if we make it beyond map 3, we'll visit Circuit Royale and Coliseo. And K-Wing, I actually really like this because I'm realizing this is such a nice culmination of old maps and new maps, kind of all getting a chance to shine today.
Oh yeah, I mean, Ilios Kings Row is just your Overwatch bread and butter. If you don't know how to play Ilios, if you don't know how to play Kings Row, where you been the past 6, 7 years? Math is hard, but the point is, if you haven't figured out Ilios and Kings Row, where you been? Saravasa, Circuit Royale, and Coliseo, all newer maps. Saravasa especially being one of the newest with that new game mode of Flashpoint. So we have, like you said, that mix of new and old. And I'm excited to see the difference, especially between Kings Row and Circuit Royale. 2 maps that are so incredibly known for their association with one specific composition that's going to really push these teams to their limits.
Yeah, I think this is going to be really interesting because, as you mentioned, Circuit Royale in particular is a map where we're not seeing a lot of versatility and a lot of, fanatical change. Instead, we're seeing this consistency come through from these teams. Everybody wants to bring the same comp to the table. Everybody wants to play the same characters, and everybody wants to get a win on the board, especially the Auburn University Tigers against, absolute overperformers of a team like University of Texas Arlington. Auburn bringing to the table today, at least with the information what we've been given, is Kobe, the Brad, Riptide, Obese Chicken, Charles, and Namuji. UTA, they're bringing in Andrew, Buckle, Tags, Jupiter, and K. So UTA bringing in the absolute front line here tonight. They want to try to keep this season going. They want to put as many wins down on the board as they can.
Yeah, and 100% for both these teams really need to get a win, but I think for Auburn University, that's going to be the big story tonight, is going to be, can Auburn come in against a team that is so storied, that is so well known? If you pressed me to name EGF teams in the collegiate scene, UT Arlington would be probably one of, if not the first teams that I would name just off the top of my head.
Yeah, they're jumping in top 5, top 10 maybe. They're definitely up there no matter what I agree. And I think that's the scariest part about them, right? Is anybody going up against them, it's like, oh crap, even if we're new to the EGFC, or oh my goodness, even if we're new to the EGFC, we still know who UT Arlington is, right? Like you said, they're synonymous with one another. They are fully in this existence. And UT Arlington, there's almost an expectation from them separately, right? In terms of, we're expecting them to come out and win. And if they look a little bit shaky, that's going to be a sign for a lot of other teams to keep an eye on.
Completely. And especially not just that if UT Arlington does lose this, or even if we see some cracks in the foundation, it's a sign that there might be some new monarchs taking the throne here against the Mavericks, and it might just be the Auburn Tigers. as this face-off is going to start on Ilios. So what are we thinking in terms of the composition? Because Ilios is a pretty diverse map.
Yeah.
But you can see a lot of dive coming out.
I think you make a phenomenal point, and I think that's part of the reason that Control continues to be my favorite map type in this game is the stages per Control map tend to have that versatility, tend to have that dynamic nature of changing and adapting to what is being brought to the table. But I think the assumption of dive is certainly the safest. Now, I'm not positive that is what we're going to be seeing or not, but I do feel like that is an expectation. Andrew on the Doomfist in particular is a bit of a maniac. He really likes to throw that Doom out there and try to make some waves with it. So I think a large part of me is hoping that he sticks to it just for my own interests. I want to see some Doomfist kick butt, take names, and it looks like Auburn going to be making a last-minute swap. The Brad going on to Tank, and Kobe locking in that Cassidy as well. So Doomfist versus Roadhog here.
That's an interesting play. I mean, you've seen some in the community really push for the Roadhog and really say that he's gotten a lot of power in recent patches due to just not really being touched. So maybe this is where the Brad's going to shine on that pulled pork on the Hog.
With the Roadhog coming out, it should scare off Andrew just a little bit, force them deeper into the back line. We see UTA rocking a Lucio as well, something we're not seeing particularly often these days, but Auburn certainly bringing out a certain fascinating support comp of their own. Lifeweaver, Moira, a lot of healing to be brought to the table, but unfortunately not enough for the side of UTA. Tags is the first one to go down, gets pulled by that Hog, and now all of a sudden Auburn University has a numbers advantage. UTA might have to reconvene, regroup, and go for a re-engagement. Oh no, the Hinder! What a disgusting combo from Auburn University to hook into the Hinder. Andrew went down, and Auburn gonna get this first point cap.
Yeah, and that was such a smart play from Andrew from Kobe to throw that magnetic grenade, get the Hinder, and Andrew was trying to play in the well, was trying to make some smart plays, but really couldn't. And this is the strength of this composition, is the Roadhog can really take advantage of the Doomfist. And with these supports, they're very, very escapable. But I say that, Nobody's Chicken nearly goes down.
Obese Chicken definitely playing with fire there. Doesn't want to get cooked quite yet by this Doomfist. Hilarious visual bug where the Doomfist does not look like he's charging his punch, but luckily enough, the audio cue's still there. Andrew taking a lot of damage out the gate, goes for the wall slide, goes for a deep dive into the back line, finds a bit of value, gonna go up with the ult, taking Kobe down, and now has an escape route as well, but instead, just gonna dive deeper here. K-Wing wants to get that Lifeweaver, can't find it, punches this Hog out of the take a breather, and forces a lot of pressure onto Auburn University. The beat bomb Juip comes out from Lifeweaver. The pull onto Jupiter. Walrod gets to keep them up and running. And with the Brad isolated, you'd think UTA would dive the Roadhog, but instead they're trying to go beyond him, and it's going to cost them a lot of players here. Both DPS already gone. Now a visor to boot from Riptide.
That's going to seal this fight. Auburn have taken 2 fights in a row and have just punched the Kings in the mouth. This is incredible. And it's come off of some really, really great play from these supports.
Seriously.
And DPS, this is a great effort. I mean, Obese Chicken and Charles have not died under intense pressure that has come in from Andrew, from Buckle, from Tags. Just that intense pressure that has not bent nor broken Auburn is incredible. And oh no, not this flank.
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, and Riptide will go down to the blink of an eye. Now 2 members eliminated here in terms of UTA. The High Noon goes up, but Andrew takes him down. This is a huge opportunity. I wanted to see this Doomfist. I wanted to see this value in this space and this creation come out, but right now it's just not working the numbers I wanted it to until this final moment. UTA, they flipped the point cap in their favor, but K-Wing, a tale as old as time, they have to face. They cannot lose a single fight from here on out.
And they have nothing to use in terms of ultimates. The Brad is going to come in with this whole Hog, and there's nothing that UTA have to respond to it. They're a bit away from that Echo ult, but there's nothing standing in between the Brad and a big whole Hog right into UTA. So we'll have to see if that ult can be the decider for Auburn and for them to take this first point. And I think it's gonna come off of, can these supports just keep pulling their magic and staying alive? And looks like they can.
Andrew, no! Just could not get away fast enough. The whole Hog does wonders, takes Andrew out of the equation, while UTA is no way!
Oh,
I'm a huge fan of the Brad. I'm a huge fan of the Brad right now. This is devious, this Roadhog gameplay that we're seeing. And K-Wing, you brought up such a fascinating point toward the beginning of, Hog kind of got buffed simply because he hasn't been nerfed. And that's such a versatile thing for this team, and the Brad taking full advantage of it. That has to guarantee a stage 1 victory here for Auburn University, especially as Riptide finds that double kill and opens up the doors even further. UT Arlington fumbling just a bit here toward the beginning.
And this is really incredible. I mean, you saw from the Brad, this is not just really good Roadhog. This is not just really good Roadhog, like a really good Roadhog.
Yeah.
In terms of, like, Roadhog is in a really great state right now, and, you know, all the Brad's just playing the Roadhog, so, you know, of course they're going to win. This is a really amazing player. I mean, that hook onto tags from across the map, it reminded me of that Clockwork Vendetta clip from
yes.
a while back, just hooking the Pharah from just 10 years away. And now going on to the Jotes rush for Auburn. Is this going to be the same flashes of brilliance that we saw from Auburn now on Ruins? I'm really excited because you got the new Sombra, you got the Junker Queen, no Lucio on this rush. So I don't know how this is exactly going to play, because usually you associate the Junker Queen with that quick Lucio style play.
Yeah, Lucio is such a fundamental character in a circumstance like this, but Jupiter being on it instead is going to give UTA an advantage that I want to keep a very close eye on. Andrew in particular is pretty darn devious on this Zarya, so hopefully he's going to be able to get a bit more value than the Doomfist did, but with no giant pit of death constantly threatening your every move, it's a little easier to play forward the way Andrew always wants to be. And right now, a lot of damage being dealt by Auburn University onto this Zarya, but the Brad down to 200 has to get life gripped out of the equation. The 75 free heals create the space, but not long enough to keep Riptide up and running. One player down. UTA has not only the numbers advantage, but capped the point quite a while ago as well.
Yeah, and now it's just a matter of, do you stay in and try and charge up ults, or are you gonna keep out? You lose Charles and you just have to get out of there, but they can't let any staggers go through, and it's going to be a long fight for Auburn that are not going to get a lot of value out of. They're coming up to these support ults, though, and that's what I want to see. And I really do want to highlight the work that these supports have been doing. The fact that they have been staying alive for so long has fueled this Auburn team, and they're going to need to go even further beyond if they want to get Auburn this point cap.
University of Texas at Arlington not pulling any punches, going to much more default expected characters, getting the Kitsune out the gate. They farmed the grab, and now Andrew could have a bit of a freebie, but wants to hold on to it, catching the Moira Obese Chicken in the back line, even an elimination to boot. UTA going low and slow, keeping each of their plays calm, cool, and collected, and it's working wonders for this team. Staying grouped up, staggering these ultimates effectively, and now utilizing one when a player gets eliminated. A very smart play, and one that should keep this fight in favor of UTA today.
Yeah, and that's going to be a fantastic ultimate. The grab going in when you're down, on paper, you would think it was a bad idea, but with that opening that it finds, getting 3 people inside that grab, it makes it a perfect play to turn the tides completely. Auburn University, last fight territory, they're going to need to rush onto point. They lost Obese Chicken.
Oh, third fight in a row, I think, where Obese Chicken is the one to go down, but UTA, perhaps a bit of hubris got in the UT way, and they have to slow things down a little bit. They go for a more meta composition, and they definitely just kick butt and take names the way we expected. Going all the way now to my favorite Ilios point, Lighthouse. I think this will be really fascinating because Andrew could bring out the Doomfist again, but it feels it's just as likely that the Brad could rock on the Hog, so it's going to be interesting if they play that rock, paper, scissors, if they go for some swaps, or if they both think, well, the other one's going to swap, so I shouldn't either.
Yeah, the Brad showing off this Reinhardt now. So we might see, I do like this play here from Auburn, showing that Ryan rush, and Andrew on the Wrecking Ball. I haven't seen a lot of amazing Wrecking Ball play so far, but I'm interested if Andrew can prove me wrong.
And speaking of good Reinhardt players, big shout out to my friend Derpy for hitting #1 on the NA tank ladder playing Reinhardt. Insanely proud of him for doing that. Just felt like a good time to weave that pride in. But right now, the University of Texas at Arlington's Andrew, like you said, I haven't seen a lot of notable Wrecking Ball gameplay, and I'm not sure if today is going to be the day that happens, but with Obese Chicken already going to be antied in the back line, critical HP, has to put down a lamp early, that's going to be a huge opening for UTA to engage. Instead, the lamp lives longer, and it's Andrew who's the first one to go down. I'm expecting a swap here, especially with a Bastion coming out from Kobe. It's going to make it really difficult to get traditional value off of a character. Low.
What a shot.
Scratch everything I was just saying. Scratch everything I was just saying.
Can I make the joke, Sep? Can I make the joke?
I think you might be able to. Yeah,
Kobe.
it felt, it was right in front of you. You gotta slam dunk it in.
I had to take it. I had to take it.
Buckle now finding the headshot there with that railgun. That makes it really difficult for University of Texas Arlington to dive in, to go in this competition. It's like a not really dive at all, but also there's a Lucio and sometimes a Wrecking Ball, and the Tracer might be able to if she can maybe. It's a lot of hypothetical right now, K-Wing, and that's a really difficult spot to be in. That's not a circumstance where you want to put yourself in. Tags finally breaks the stride a little bit, forces the tides to turn in favor of UTA, but with a Bastion on the opposing side, it makes it really difficult for these squishies, like a Lucio, like a Tracer, to survive, and I'm not sure there's going to be much surviving. The beat drop out from Charles. Tags just spamming from center field here, and Bob goes in quickly. Everybody's favorite aim Bob making the appearance. They've got to get an E-limit. Tags is the one to get eliminated. The Bastion critical condition. Gonna go down. The recall has to come out. Pulse bomb up and running, but it looks like they don't want to use it quite yet if they don't have to. Tags is lethal, but they're out of the fight, and it was up to Riptide to fill up that space. Charles traded for Buckle. Now the charge goes out from the Brad, and UTA, they expend a lot just to lose the fight.
Yeah, and they take a long time doing it. It's exactly what happened at the start of last round. Is they take a long time, they invest a lot of resources, and they lose the fight. And they didn't really push in onto that pick onto Obese Chicken. Charles getting taken out. Heavens knows where they got picked off, but getting taken out. And now that's both supports.
Here we go, both supports offline. This is a fundamental moment for the University of Texas at Arlington, but this is exactly what they did back in that first matchup, and they fumbled the ball pretty aggressively there. Andrew takes the Brad out of the equation. They get the point cap, but K-Wing, we're well over the 75% marker of final fight, right? This is, if UTA loses a single fight from here on out, they are most likely losing this map, so they need to lock in right here, right now, with a huge possibility of a minefield. This could be a wonderful opening, but instead they skip the minefield. They go for a nano pile driver. Minefield comes out late to stall out the point even longer. Andrew up onto the high ground. K is gone. Tags is biting the bullet already, and even to stall the point is going to get difficult. Artillery strike tanked by Andrew, and they're trying to stall out as long as they can, but I just don't know if we're going to see the team ever recover from this point moving forward.
Beat coming in from Jupiter, but the Shatter's still online for the Brad. That's completely in the air. Everyone's so low that you can't really get a lot of heals going. UT Arlington, that might just be over for them. They get the pick onto Obese Chicken. Tags, I don't think it's enough.
It's not gonna be.
I think it's done.
We're looking at a delay of the inevitable here, unfortunately, and there should be a recontest from UTA, but take a look at these ults, right? Tags swapping way too late. Now out to a Symmetra, going for these panic swaps, but even trying to touch at this point is going to be nothing short of a miracle. Even a spam shatter just to keep Buckle out of the equation. The beat locked and loaded. Auburn just has way too much to work with, and that's what's going to make this composition really difficult to play into. A 3K in favor of Auburn University. And K-Wing, we had one request. Let's see some big moves, and by golly, did Auburn follow through.
Yeah, but it's not over yet. UT Arlington, they are strong, but it just isn't enough. They're gonna try to delay, but it'll just be that delay. And Auburn, I mean, we had... I think you and I have a touch of egg on our face, because we came into this. We came into this, and I will be completely upfront. We came into this and we said, oh, it's UT Arlington. They're not going to lose to some team that we have never heard of and never seen. But Auburn, well, they have surprised us, and they have made us look a touch silly, because they're up 1-0, and this is quite something. Even if somehow UT Arlington turns this around, right now, just the fact that Auburn University have come out of the gate and delivered a solid hit to the face of UT Arlington is quite something.
And there is something to be
said for UTA and for Auburn.
Yeah, there's something to be said about a statistic that lended itself a little bit better, I think, to Overwatch 1, but does still apply here in Overwatch 2, and that is, of course, the reference to a team or a player may traditionally do better on control if they are mathematically the worst team. Now, I'm not saying that's what we're seeing here, but I'm saying it is difficult to fully commit to Auburn's performance, because mathematically, we do see losing teams. If they do win a map, it is almost always this one. So I am curious if they can continue to carry that energy into Kings Row, our second map, and with the way the Brad was playing Ryan, I'm actually quite hopeful that they will, but I've got to see them do better on a not control map before I'm really ready to dive into this belief of Auburn University Tigers.
Yeah, I mean, I would not want to say, oh, they won one map Auburn University is now my best friend, but it's definitely something surprising. It's definitely something surprising that we saw on Control, because the rounds that they won were very solid. I mean, that second round was a touch concerning in that Zarya v Zarya that Auburn did seem a bit behind, but especially when it came to the when it came to the rush, which is what we're going to see on King's Row unless something really crazy happens. When it came to the Reinhardt composition and when it came to the round 1 composition, we saw some really great play. So I wouldn't be I'd be sweating a touch if I were a UTA fan. Just a touch. Just a light misting.
I agree. I think the evolution of collegiate Overwatch continues to change and continues to evolve and adapt in a lot of positive ways. And those teams that we saw hanging so consistently at the top are really, as the year moves through, consistently becoming more and more, not shakier, but they have to work a lot harder to maintain those positions. And as the second map, King's Row, gets ready to come to fruition here, will UTA make the appropriate changes? I don't really want to see a Doomfist. I don't really want to see a Wrecking Ball. I think the Zarya was really, really good, and I'd like to see a lot more of that if UTA wants to bring it to the table. But at the same time, already Auburn has proven they're quite an adaptive team. They made a lot of positive changes. We have Bastion come out there for stage number 3 to cancel out that Zarya that never actually ended up being played, but the concept was there and it was very intelligent, and I'm eager that Auburn can continue to bring that same kind of longevity to the table.
I am too, and especially like you said, that adaptation that we saw constantly from Auburn was really exciting. Really, really I'm really optimistic about it, because it means that A, that they're flexible in general, and B, that they are not going to stick on a sinking ship. They're going to get off and they're going to switch to something that's going to work. I'm interested to see how that's going to affect them in a round-based game where it's not as much pausing in the way that Control is, where you don't have those exact set points to switch compositions.
Yeah.
And speaking of compositions, we are seeing the Rhine mirror and a pretty standard composition from UTA, I'd say.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I do want to note early here, the name Obese Chicken was ringing in my head this entire time, and I could not figure out why. It's because he's a Junkrat player. That's why. That's what's going on. Obese Chicken plays Junkrat. I should have known it from day one, but they are role swapping onto the DPS role. Kobe going on back onto the Kiriko, where I believe they are more traditionally playing in that support role. So Auburn got to be feeling good, bringing some unconventional character swaps to the table. Going to be playing Junkrat into Mei, so her wall doesn't find that same value, and those mines always will. Tags gets obliterated by Obese Chicken. Nobody's looking at Obese Chicken right now, so that is 51% to the tire. Catches the Bastion mine, but is more than happy to slow things down and continue creating that pressure. UTA being obliterated by Auburn University. Even this Suzu might not be enough to get this Reinhardt out of the way. A full point already in favor of Auburn. They're 50% done, and I'm not sure UTA is going to go for the recontest, at least not yet, especially if that Bastion goes down. The Hail Mary fires from Obese Chicken into the back line, 90% to the Rip Tire easily. The first person in lobby to get their ult, and he's not even going to need it, K-Wing. Jupiter's already gone. Jupiter's been sent back to space.
Jupiter just, hit the trap. No idea it was there, because why would it be there? And is just disassembled. Charles goes in. Separate. What am I watching right now?
This is the best day of my life. This is the best day of literally my entire life. Last week,
so excited.
Last week we get to watch Say from Hawaii get a 5-man with a Junkrat tire. Now today we watch a 4K from Obese Chicken, and they are just dominating this performance through and through so far. I've got to say, hats off to them, because this is a dominant performance from Auburn, and they are very quickly, they're playing Reinhardt and Junkrat, my two favorite characters in the entire game. They are very quickly joining up. They're creating a fan in the name of Septilence here.
I mean, they're getting a fan in the name of me right here, because, oh my gosh, if the Brad hits a massive shatter, I might just become an Auburn Esports fan on the spot. This might become a biased cast.
Auburn, where's my jersey? No way! No way!
Everyone to the shatter, though. The Brad, what was that?
Wait. No way, dude.
I can't stand. What is
this? What, is today real? Am I being pranked? A 4K Bastion sticky bomb is That's got to be historical. I have never seen that before. That is... we got to watch that play of the game. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Is this a social experiment? Because there's the Bastion ult into the back. This is crazy.
I mean, now both teams have really had a time to shine, and they are just lighting up the kill feed like a Christmas tree. Buckle tries to peek this corner wide, will take down the Brad, and as that kind of top dog has fallen in front of Auburn, are they going to be able to keep these dominoes up or really begin to fall against them? Pressure's on. The beat drop from Charles comes out very late. A fascinating beat, but Jupiter is there to answer it. Shatter and Blizzard as well. UTA throwing everything at the wall because they know they have to stop this fight, and it looks like they are finally going to be able to. Obese Chicken and Charles going to go down. Kobe joining them back in the spawn room, but holy crap, K-Wing, that could not have been more expensive.
Yeah, that was a very expensive fight. They do still have the window to invest UTA, but they're going to be coming up against the Riptire of Obese Chicken, which it was as good as last time. Mark off the fight, but everyone else is at 50% or below. So for Auburn, maybe not this fight, but next fight could be your saving grace. And they just think, okay.
Well,
okay. Obese Chicken.
Yeah, Obese Chicken. I think going for a triple mine into a Riptire here. My feed is starting to get a little bit wonky, so bear with me on this one, folks. Hits the skybox, not going to be able to find that space. Andrew into Buckle is already going to clean that fight up. Obese Chicken has more than enough time to go hunt for a prime Riptire spot here on the third point of King's Row.
Yeah, and they won't even need the Riptire. They just push in and get that early pick, and Charles will be right back. The only one they lost is going to be right back, and the Riptire is getting set up right on the flank. So for this last fight, this could be something really scary. Are they going to do it?
Obese Chicken waiting with the tire, misses the shot into the window, though. A devastating blow. Nobody is going to touch. Andrew on the Reinhardt, finally going to get that value against the Brad, taking them out. Oh, dude. That is a colossal tire if Obese plays their cards right, but they want to be patient. They want to wait out that immortality field because it's one of the fastest ways to interrupt a play like an Obese Chicken Riptire.
I'm so excited. I can feel our producer just like bated breath waiting with us as we wait for this tire to come in, but Kobe's going to get taken out first.
Kobe already down and out. That's going to be an immortality field offline. Buckle has a bit of a freebie opening shot here to go and find that artillery strike. But instead, they're going to sit on it for just a wee bit longer. 3 minutes on the clock. Auburn has approached up and around this first corner, but getting through this choke in particular is considered to be one of the hardest in the entire game of Overwatch. So they want to play their cards right. They don't want to overextend it. They don't want to ult to dump either because that pretty much loses you the next fight, which is the one that truly matters. A Blizzard into an overclock. Riptide, as the tides turn on them and they'll go down to the blink of an eye, the window goes up and Kobe will be able to get the space for Auburn. Buckle falls, and this could be a huge opening. 4v4, a DPS down on both sides. The spawns are about equally close for the time being, so a huge opener for whoever finds that next critical elimination.
Yeah, and this is where a DPS ult could go really big, and speak of the devil.
Oh!
The mid-air fire strike.
Amazingly done from Andrew there. Takes the Riptire out of the way. All my friends hate me, but I do think Riptire should have slightly more HP just to avoid moments like that. Buckle is going to be able to find two with that artillery strike. The Brad is gone as well, and as Obese Chicken falls, 2 minutes remain. 4 ultimates used by Auburn there, and only a Shatter left to try and answer this next combat.
I mean, but it's 4 ults used from UTA as well.
That's true.
Big ult fight that they just had, so it's Shatter versus Window coming out from Auburn and UTA. That's the question. Can K get a really solid window and just gain that space, or is it going to be a fat Shatter coming out from the Brad?
The fatty shatty is what we are looking for, but Kobe and Obese Chicken are already down. UTA, they are so good at that target focus. When that Baptiste garage door gets opened up, they know exactly who to go for, who to take down, and they have always found their target. The Brad falls late, stalling another 10 to 15 seconds off the clock.
The Brad got the Shatter canceled.
Oh!
The Brad shattered.
Wait, I didn't even hear it.
It's completely gone. That went to
unlucky.
0.
That's unlucky.
Yeah, that's unlucky. Now they have no ults. They only have the window coming up. UTA doesn't have much, and they're coming up on Obese Chicken's ults. That could be something for Auburn. That's their chance, and they get the pick on the Riptide.
Riptide is going to take down Jupiter, and the opening is going to be pretty critical for Auburn. Losing that Lucio in particular takes a lot of speed off the table. When you're playing Reinhardt, speed is a fundamental asset to find success over an opponent. So when they've got a Lucio and you don't, it becomes a hell of a lot harder to find that success out the gate. The obese chicken flank could be a big one. They've got to hit those flicks, and they're not able to get the lineup quite yet, but they've at least pulled focus. And that focus may work well for them. Riptide might be going for a high ground approach, but terrified to peek that corner. A lot of time spent. We're looking at possibly just an overtime cap if they get a cap at all.
And the wall already coming in. Obese Chicken is on the flank. Stays alive just barely. Looking for the Riptide. And there's the ult in the back.
Into the back lines, one ult. Here in the back line comes another. It's going to be shot quite a bit. Has to blow it up early and not able to get the space they were looking for. Buckle down to 70 HP. Has to tuck behind boxes. Gets healed up by the beat drop from Charles and a blizzard to boot from this May. Tags trying to close the door on this team, but everybody's going to get the beat drop. Kobe gone. The Brad has fallen. And with no time left on the clock, it looks like the Overwatch factor will kick in at the finest time for the University of Texas at Arlington. They will just barely stall out Auburn, 69.89 meters on the board.
And stopping them there is such an important thing for UTA, because if we got into extra rounds, where Auburn shined their brightest was point A and into point B. That was where we saw Auburn run over UTA. But because they stop them there, it is golden box of victory or bust for UTA. So now you have to deal with the Auburn defense. And I think especially with Obese Chicken, if you stay on the Junkrat, it's going to be even more difficult for UTA to push through. But they're showing the Pharah and the Sigma. What are they doing here, Sept?
It's wacky wonky weird, that's for sure. The Sigma would be really fascinating, especially because they're on the defense, but I would assume the composition choice here is the fact that UTA wasn't really, I hate to say it, it's kind of mean, hyper consistent with the hit scan. You know, it wasn't something that we were seeing a lot of all the way across the board. It wasn't this insane, incredible top dog performance like we had been anticipating, but it was the space maker when it needed to be. Maybe they're calling the bluff on the Soj. Maybe they know UTA isn't super confident in that hit scan area, or maybe Obese Chicken just wants to keep getting wacky with it because it's worked so far.
I mean, I will not doubt it till I see it, but this is definitely not what you tend to see. Jupiter switching on to the Mercy. Could we potentially see a Far Mercy duel in the skies over King's Row? No, it's a Soj.
Yeah, Echo Mercy versus Pharah Mercy. Just kidding. Haha, Kobe's dead. Tags is going to be by themselves for a little while. Excuse me, Obese Chicken is going to be by themselves for a little while as Tags does find the pivotal elimination. It was, I believe, a little less than 60 seconds before Auburn University had been able to cap that first point, and UTA, oh my goodness, meeting, if not going beyond that pace, already has over half the point up and running. Tags goes in deep, should be an elimination, but Riptide will be able to just barely skate away. 45 seconds off the clock, now 50, and UTA already has this first point in their favor. A very, very strong performance out the gate.
Incredibly strong, and the Sigma is an interesting pick from Auburn. You typically don't see a lot of people playing around the high ground of King's Row, especially on first point.
Sure.
You can maybe get around that on second, but it's tough to do. So I'm interested to see how the Brad continues, because we've seen some great plays from this tank, but can they continue on what might not be the more ideal composition here? One Nanty.
Oh, Bio goes out quickly. Riptide and Kobe gonna live to tell the tale thanks to a wonderful immortality field. Buckle will actually be the first one to fall. The bombs go out, the damage comes through, and now a Sigma swap is fundamental to creating that space and getting that aggressive value toward the enemy team. Eats the accretion, gets the damage, opens the door, but it gets closed right back in their face. A beautiful nano from Charles keeps the Brad up and running, gets the Gravitic Flux on the board as well, and I presume we're gonna be seeing it in this fight, because right now UTA has not stopped moving from the moment they started. Nano boost late onto Andrew, just as terrifying, and it forces the Brad to pop that Flux early. Should get a pick. No, not even on to Tags. There's the bomb, an answer for everything. This could be huge, but the Sigma shield is there, and now it's Riptide's turn to tear this team a new one. Tags goes down, and that should be the beginning of the end of that fight for UTA. However, still 4 full minutes on the clock.
Yeah, a lot of time on the clock, but this is where Auburn is going to drain so much time. Point A can often fall pretty quickly on Kings Row, but once you get into the streets phase, once you get into Point Charlie in general, that's where time will just start coming at so much of a cost. Each inch will be so hard fought for. And now an interesting rotation from UT Arlington. They're going on top to try and fight Auburn on the high ground they so desire.
Fascinating concept for sure, as the high ground of the second point isn't normally this contested, and it looks like it just kind of won't be for at least a minute here, as Tags does get eliminated by the Brad early on, stalling out any hope of UTA to get through. 3.5 minutes left. They're in a pretty comfortable zone for the time being, and Jupiter falling is going to delay that now from 10 to 20 seconds. Makes it a lot harder. I really would like to see UTA just get out of the UT way, but they are just in far too deep, bitten off way more than they can chew.
And Buckle barely stays alive, and that antidote isn't going to have anyone to follow up on it. So for Auburn, they're okay to kind of stick by this. There's a lot of ults coming up for UTA. This could be the fight to break the hold, and it's going to start with the Visor.
Nano Visor, nonetheless. The Sigma each should get a pretty large chunk of that, and Buckle can barely stay standing long enough to get one elimination, maybe even turn it into two before the Visor comes to a close, but unfortunately, they can't pick up those numbers. With the help of a couple of players here, they will find Riptide and Charles to boot, and now it is going to be that slow and steady winning the game here, winning the race. It took a little bit, but UTA, they continued to pester, they continued to throw forward, and it looks like it is going to get them that space once more. Second point cap is now theirs.
And they'll have a little short of 4 minutes coming into that final point. So it's not a lot. It's a lot of time, but it can also be drained so quickly. And there's a lot of ults on the side of Auburn. So this might not be the fight unless UTA can bring out some really great ults, especially looking for that bomb. And I'm especially looking for that duplicate from Tags. If those can do something big, it might be something.
Could be a little bit of value on the board, but Andrew finds 2.5 with the Immortality Field, joining Obese and the Brad back in that spawn room. That T-spin into the corner. The Bionade scares off Andrew, but not long enough to not secure that elimination. University of Texas at Arlington bringing a brand new level of mess around and find out to the table here. They are dominating their way through Kings Row, and with already 3 minutes still standing, they are approaching this final point. The Brad gets desperate. Griddick Flux takes him up, but everybody except Jupiter will come back down. Jupiter will go down like a bag of bricks, and the Tags will be joining them back in that spawn room as well. A lost fight for UTA, but one that's going to cost 3 ultimates out of Auburn's pocket.
It's going to cost 3 ults, but it'll cost 2 from UTA. It's still a big investment from them. They only use 1 more ult than Auburn, and we have the switch from Auburn onto the Zarya. I do like this pick against the Diva.
Yeah.
So perhaps Auburn can turn the tides, but they have to do it with those 2 ults, and here's the one from Obese Chicken.
Obese Chicken has that artillery strike online, trying to bait out Andrew here, and with the triple tap, might be able to find the Ana, which they will. K goes down, a huge opener, and a beautiful bank shot onto Buckle is going to obliterate the chances of University of Texas at Arlington, capping this with 2 minutes left on the clock. Auburn, they let it get close, but they're focusing up when it matters most, and they may be able to walk away with a pretty sneaky victory here.
Yeah, and with both support ults, 2 offensive support ultimates on the board for both these teams, or 1 for each of these teams, you have a bit of a blank slate. You're looking for team effort versus single. So you might see a Nano Visor come out from UTA, so something big needs to happen because you don't have the Sigma Eat anymore. You don't have the Bastion to potentially negate that ultimate that's going to come through from UTA. And now with 3 ultimates on the board, this is going to be tough.
3 ultimates locked and loaded. A Nano Visor from Buckle on the far corner. Kobe already gone. Another one into Riptide, and possibly even a triple, as Buckle is going to be the one with the help of K to create that space. You know, you said a single ultimate versus a team space creating ultimate, and it looks like they are going to create a lot of space. They don't even need to cap all 3 to keep it going. They need to cap all 3 to win map number 2. And now they're seconds away from doing so. Obese Chicken takes a nap at a fundamental time and gets deleted for it. The Bionade onto Riptide and Kobe should get them sent back to the spawn room, and there's just not a delay in the world large enough to get away from that Diva Bomb in time. Tags finds a 3K, nobody left standing, and the University of Texas at Arlington will secure a victory in map number 2.
Yeah, and for Auburn, you can definitely... you definitely aren't too angry about that in terms of the losses that you can have.
Absolutely.
That's not one that I would be too angry about. You did not get blown out there on map 2, and oh my gosh, that play was so cool.
Yeah, I'm amazed. I thought it was going to be the Rip Tire. Then we got quadruple Bastion Mind. It was a fun one for sure, but a very sloppy matchup.
Yeah, I mean, it was incredibly chaotic, and we saw some compositions and some choices that we really didn't expect, as both these teams still trying to figure out and feel out exactly what's going to work. And we saw some things that really did work, and we saw some things that really didn't. I mean, we saw the Pharah come out from Obese Chicken at the start. Didn't really work.
It was a risk that, that definitely did not pay off at the end of the day, but I do think it is time to throw it to a little bit of a break here. That is map 2 coming to a close, so we will go ahead and throw it to a super short break, give these players time, use the restroom, get up, do whatever they got to do, but don't go anywhere because we have a whole lot of EGFC Overwatch 2 left for you here tonight. We'll see you right back here in just a few. Number 3 of this first series here tonight, Auburn University Tigers versus the University of Texas Arlington Mavericks. And while when we thought Auburn, we didn't know a lot about them going in, by golly, have they proven their weight's worth in gold here, going toe-to-toe with the Mavericks and forcing at least a map number 4.
Yeah, I mean, Auburn University, as we were told this during the break, a little upset with us. They didn't like the fact that we didn't think they were going to win. And you know what? To Auburn, I say this. Thank you for proving me absolutely wrong. Well, you haven't proved me wrong yet, but thank you for proving me at least not... This has been an amazing match so far. I thought that this was going to be going pretty one way. Maybe Auburn could put up some fight, but Auburn has shown incredible strength throughout this. Yeah. Some incredible play, some incredible flexibility, and incredible versatility. And it's just been it's been insane to watch. And I'm so excited to go on to Flashpoint, onto Saravasa, or onto New Junk City, and see what they can bring. And maybe if they can upset UTA.
And that is correct. K-Wing is correcting a mistake that I made earlier today. We are not going to Saravasa. We're going to New Junk City as our Flashpoint map. So still Flashpoint, but it's going to be NJC instead. And K-Wing, I think, with a less experienced team, or the team that we don't know as much about, I think these new map types, these new compositions, are where teams like this actually have a fundamental opportunity to shine. This is the opportunity where they can dive into a map that their opponents are just as unfamiliar with as they are.
Yeah, and you could apply this. You could apply this to Saravasa. It's not Saravasa. You could apply this to New Junk City and Flashpoint, especially. But you could make that point for the next 2 maps that we have. They're a little bit longer in the tooth in terms of how long they've been out, just over a year now. But they're still not as set strategy as potentially the other maps in this pool are. As we open the doors to New Junk City, I'm really excited for this Diva versus Zarya comp from Auburn.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting as Kobe is coming out now, the 3rd player on the side of Auburn. It's going to be the 2nd to be playing tank, but Namuji is in as well in that support role, a character or a player that we have not seen yet. UTA, they're not making any changes. Very similar compositions, same roles being brought to the table as well. And I've got to say, it's going to be a little bit easier, I think, for UTA to get value here. Zarya does win the Zarya Diva fight pretty consistently if the DPS of Auburn aren't there to melt those bubbles as fast as possible.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Oh, Obese Chicken gets taken out immediately, but it's a trade onto K. So that's potential for Auburn to take something more as the switch comes in onto the Moira from Obese Chicken. Jupiter low but staying alive, and the Zarya is just gonna melt through gonna melt through Auburn. It's down. It's a lot of trading back and forth. It's a scrappy fight, Sept.
It is scrappy indeed. We've got the kill feed lighting up like a Christmas tree. And Obese Chicken is going to be the one to flip it. We saw this Moira back on Ilios pretty consistently, being the first one eliminated, but this time they're the one picking up eliminations, getting that value, creating that space for Auburn. And now as Kobe returns on the Ramatra, Andrew may have a bit of a worse time.
Yeah, especially with the Nemesis form of Kobe. It's not going to do as much toward those bubbles. So I'm looking at that tank matchup, this rock, paper, scissors that we've been mentioning, and how flexible are we going to see Andrew be as he come up to some ultimates? We have the Nano, you have potentially a Nano Visor coming through from Auburn, and you have already the Dragon Strike.
Dragon Strike locked and loaded here, and we see the beat coming out from Jupiter early. A couple of headshots, not going to be able to find that space quite yet. The value continues to stack in favor of UTA, but it might be Tags who goes down next. Riptide taken out by a stray headshot. Buckle able to find it. Kobe, edge of their life, being rushed down by Andrew, and this Bastion as well. That defensive block can only cover so much, and Andrew just does not want to let this elimination go. Artillery strike from Buckle. Talk about courageous, still standing strong. 2 eliminations now in their favor, and with no supports online, UTA might just barely be able to flip this back in their favor.
Buckle went into artillery form, got a pick, and then shot past the Nemesis form Ramatra, and just completely and got the pick onto the other support. And Kobe, I mean, I don't know exactly how much damage Kobe has mitigated, but it has to be a lot.
Gotta be a lot.
After that
be a lot.
After that full hold, just watching that heals get pumped in, it had to be so much. And that's the value of this Ramatra, is bringing out so much damage mitigation.
There's a very scary moment there where the sleep went onto the Zarya, but she woke up very quickly. Visor not going to be able to get a lot of value, and it pulled focus long enough. The rest of the team is going to be able to. Brad and Namuji are both going to be able to find eliminations, flipping this back in favor of Auburn. And this is the way Auburn, they're very sneaky with it. They're very stealthy with it. They like to keep things close, but they have not lost a point like this yet. They've let UTA get close, 70s, 80s, I think even 90 at one point, but they always come out on top, and Auburn once again has made that happen here on New Junk City.
Yeah, and I love the aggression from Obese Chicken as the sleep comes in onto the Zarya. They're fighting in the mid ground, but Obese Chicken does get picked off. It's going too aggressive. So now that's a big disadvantage coming into the second flashpoint for Auburn. But they have some ults to try and negate this disadvantage, and they have position in the ideal spot, I believe, for this point. And there you go. There's the ult.
The purple hug is beyond lethal. Kobe said, I'm not looking for 1 or 2. All my fellas, get in here, get this elimination, and get this annihilation online. And it looks like it is going to work wonders. The Zarya up and off the map. And Auburn, with just those 2 ultimates, that nanoed purple hug, create enough space to win that point, even down on Moira for half of it.
Yeah, and they still have ults coming up, whereas UT Arlington, they're coming up onto the beat, and that's about it. They're 50% away from the Bastion ult. There's a huge ult disadvantage, and Obese Chicken is going to charge this ult incredibly quickly. I'm also loving the ult combo there that we've seen a lot of. We've seen the Nano Visor, and the early pick onto K is exactly what you're looking for.
Oh, and Buckle is going to collapse right underneath. UTA not even going to get a chance at a fight this time. Auburn, they have taken the gloves off. They are done having the laugh, and now they want to walk away with this victory. Winning map number 2 forces us into Circuit Royale, a map I'm actually really looking forward to getting the chance to see today. And I mean, Auburn, they've already guaranteed it, but they want to wrap Flashpoint up quick. A huge stagger and an insane stuff here into this choke. Kobe just backing up. The mitigation has to be in the thousands at this point.
Obese Chicken with the double kill. Really incredible from Kobe. I really love this focus fire that's coming in onto K, getting those picks time and again. Even when the Nano Annihilation came through, it was immediately K was the first to go down. And UT Arlington are struggling now, and Auburn seem to be in the driver's seat.
Yeah. Auburn just large and in charge, and this is very reminiscent of our Ilios map earlier today, where Auburn really was quite dominant for the 2 stages that they were able to win, and right now that pattern has not changed. They are stuffing the spawn door. We're looking at 16-player kill streak out from Kobe right now. They have begun to pull no punches. The trolling has come to a close. This team wants to walk away with a victory, and they are getting seconds closer to doing that now, up 2-0 on Flashpoint. Only 1 stage to go. They can cap 1 more. They can go into map number 4 up 2-1.
Yeah, and they have so many ults to do it with. They're coming up onto 3, almost 4. They have that Nano Annihilation, which might as well just be a big red button labeled press here to win
Seriously.
fight. It's immediate. It's so much damage, but could this be the turning point? Are they gonna have to use it here, or can they win it a bit dry? They're gonna go for it.
They're going to go for it. A couple of ultimates tossed down the drain, and with the Annihilation up and running, it's actually Obese Chicken who stealths into the back line, finds a triple kill, and just annihilates the Annihilation. So, hey, we don't even need it. Trust. Walks away with a lot of value on the board for Auburn University once again. And Obese Chicken, I mean, they can do it all. They can play Junkrat. They can play Moira. That's pretty much everything.
I feel like we need to, like, report Obese Chicken to some law enforcement.
Check his BC. Check his BC.
Report this man for stealing kills, because that was just dirty on the Nano Annihilation, just coming in and getting 3 kills. But there's all the ults left, and they're going to use it right in the backline. What the sleep?
Nap time! That is finally, Obese Chicken is going to be put to rest for just a moment, and those couple of seconds are long enough for UTA to finally get a numbers advantage. But Auburn, they're 1 second away from winning. So again, for what I believe to be the 4th time in this series, UTA flips a point where they cannot lose a single fight from here on out.
Yeah, and they lost a bunch of people on their side, so they're not going to have Jupiter in a good position. They're not going to have Tags in a good position. They're going to have to run back to point, and if they're lucky, maybe they can get something going. But for Auburn, they don't have a lot of ults, so they might just take this next fight as a dry fight, because Tags is going to come in with this Blizzard. This is aggressive here from Kobe.
Yeah, Kobe wants to create that space early. Tags has the Blizzard up online, and Kobe is going to be the first one to go down. That over-aggression does not pay off. Namuji obliterated. Andrew's Ramatra is definitely making it a little harder for Kobe to be as dominant as we saw a few moments ago. The Brad is 1 HP, just can't run away fast enough, and that's A-okay. It's only going to be 1 point. This is not a map win for UTA. They now have to go on to win the next 2 stages if they want to try and make this work.
Yeah, and I think that Auburn might have potentially just given up this point completely. Oh, what a headshot. They might have just given up this point in order to build up ults and come at UTA with a much healthier ult bank. They're going to get some overtime, but it will just be burnt through.
That was dangerous.
And they're just trying to build up their ults, I think, is the plan here.
Yeah, I think we're looking at a delay of the inevitable. I do think this is a stage victory for UTA. There we go. They're able to win that stage. They lose K in the process and actually buckle as well. So Auburn, a pretty large opportunity, but I think they'll all spawn at a closer spawn to point anyway. So it's not huge. It's not terrible. And Andrew's first 10K of the day, I believe, is probably going to end with an elimination here. Jupiter just could not back up fast enough, and Andrew wants to try and make it out, but Obese Chicken not going to let this one out for free. Yeah, might as well drop the emote. That is actually, unfortunately, just a giant stagger.
It's a massive stagger. Thankfully, for UTA, they have at least they're close to point, so it's not too much of a run back. But Auburn is going to get position on this flashpoint early, and they're just going to set up completely. They have the Nano Ram ult, and they're ready to just drop the Annihilation right on top of them. That purple hug is going to come in deadly.
The purple hug is lethal, and they've got the Annihilation to boot, but Brad says, hey, actually, watch this. Able to find that double victory, and now it is going to be a support elimination. Both supports have gone down for UTA. Auburn going to be able to find roughly 50% of the point to their name, and I think that it should do all but seal it to wrap things up nicely with a little bow on top. 50% already done. I think it's like 0.7 seconds or something compared to the normal 1 second per percent, and that should be all but a victory for Auburn, especially with that Annihilation tucked in their back pocket.
Well, it's going to be Nano Annihilation versus Kitsune Rush Annihilation. It is going to be the unstoppable force versus the more unstoppable force.
Oh,
but it's gone! That's it.
I don't know if I call that unstoppable. that was pretty darn brutal from Auburn University. The Nanolation barely needed as Andrew just got ripped to shreds, annihilated, one might say. Got completely deleted from the equation. And Auburn walk away with the third map under their belt. Now up 2-1 over UTA and going in with an advantage to Circuit Royale.
This is incredibly impressive. I mean, Kobe on this Ramatra. Auburn University has shown that not only do they have an incredible tank on their side, they have two. They have many insane players who are flexing. They are reverse Clockwork Vendetta is what I'm just gonna put out there. Clockwork Vendetta as a team had like every single player who could play one hero incredibly well. These players can all play so many different roles. They can come in and off role that I feel like you could theoretically, as a coach for Auburn University, write your players' names on like a deck of cards, shuffle it, and draw 5. Go.
Kind of feels like what they're doing.
Go tank, DPS, support, and win. Because this is the thing. This is against one of the heavyweight teams of EGFC. This isn't against, you know, the 0-4 Andersons who are, you know, they're sure plucky, but this is against one of our mainstay teams. They're coming in off-rolling and switching it up and playing this crazy way. And they are not only doing well, they're up 2-1.
And I think that's the interesting thing about Auburn, right? Is I feel like punches are still being pulled a little bit. Like you mentioned, they're off-rolling. I mean, they're swapping around between the games. They're making fundamental, silly little changes to spice things up and have a good time. I mean, it's amazing that they're able to do this well, this consistently, swapping this many times. That really goes to show the depth of this roster, the depth of this team. It's fascinating. They're one of few teams I can ever think of where going into the next map, I can't think, oh, well, they're definitely going to have this person on tank and this person DPS and support. It's like, genuinely any of them could walk out on anything at this point. And I'm gonna go, yeah, that checks out for Auburn.
Yeah. Who?
Yeah, Kobe. Okay, so I'll be honest, I'm getting the hunch. Auburn, tell me if I'm wrong in chat. I've never seen your team before. This is me going full detective theorist here. I think Kobe's actually their tank player. I think Kobe is like, because that Ramatra performance was just a little too good. I think I was like, that's a tank player, like at its core. Like that's somebody that's very comfortable with that character, that knows what they're doing, that knows what they're looking for. And I'm definitely eager if they can keep that kind of dominating performance moving forward, because it's going to be difficult, but it seems like they don't really want to wait anymore. They want to try and just win. So they're taking the gloves off. They're locking in the roster. I think that's why Namuji came in as well. I think that is one of their star-studded support players. I think Auburn is locking in. The UTA is making them maybe sweat just a little more than they wanted to.
And that's crazy. They had that Elios performance on
off-rolling. Yeah.
They off-rolled and won Elios. I mean, going into what could be the final map, what could be the upset that we will be talking about for a while if it happens, Auburn University are up 2-1 going into Circuit Royale. We haven't seen, mind you, I don't think we've seen some Sigma play, but it hasn't been that
very
mainstay.
briefly.
So
yeah,
maybe just maybe this could be the place for UTA to turn around.
I think there is a very real possibility that UTA can turn things around, but I think Auburn, again, is no longer pulling punches the way we kind of saw them earlier today, and I think that's going to be a little bit detrimental because while UTA is, I would argue, one of the better teams in the EGFC, and I mean this with all due respect to UTA, they're no Delaware. They're no Hawaii. You know what I mean? So it's like there is a little bit of middle room of UTA is very good, but they're not that top dog yet. They're not that top echelon playing team quite yet. Auburn beating them is an impressive feat through and through. But I think I don't know where Auburn lies yet to be able to tell how much this really matters, if that makes sense.
completely understandable. And as the doors open, UTA looking to keep themselves with some power. The Brad on the Widowmaker, Kobe on the Reinhardt. Definitely not the composition you typically see running through. So will Kobe on this Reinhardt pull out something impressive?
They're both, I'm pretty sure they were both out of one-tap headshot radius. I think they're right on the horizon, but you know who wasn't? Zenyatta. My guy cannot get away fast enough. Obese Chicken is going to be taken down by Buckle instead, so now a support down on both sides, making this a 4v4 engagement. I would argue in favor of the attackers. They come through, they have that attacking advantage, and they have that spawn advantage as well. Obese Chicken swapping out of the first Iyadi of the day today, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do, because Obese Chicken loves to deal damage, and Iyadi might be one of the best supports to try and do that with.
Yeah, that just might be, and we've seen how scary Obese Chicken can be on those projectiles. Can they bring it on the ERE as already picks coming through? This is so impressive from Auburn. And Kobe's just going into the back.
Why not? Why not?
Why not?
Why not? Let's just send this bad boy and see how it goes. And it looks like Kobe, I mean, getting a pick before going down there should almost guarantee, no, now definitely guarantees that first point cap. There's going to be no recontest. So while it looks over-aggressive, while it looks fundamentally silly from Kobe, it's actually working really well. And it created the necessary space to win that first fight. 5 minutes on the clock going into the second point of Circuit Royale, which is consistently one of the fastest cap points in this game on average.
Yeah, and I mean, with 5 minutes on the clock, it means that they can push through this winding street space where a lot of difficulty is going to be had. They had the time to build up ults that they might not have had, and they had the time to hit massive headshots like that from Brad.
Ooh, Tags and Buckle go down. Obese Chicken wants to have the sunrise and set the sun on the shoulders of UTA. Wants to get this team out of the last time I'll make the joke, UT way. They have that visor online as well, the infosight, excuse me, from the Brad, and K goes down. UTA, I mean, they are scrambling. They are just grabbing at bits and pieces, trying to make anything work, and they just can't do it. It is stagger after stagger after stagger. They cannot find the openings they need, and Kobe's got a shatter. I don't think he even has to use it.
Yeah, and I mean, look at this time bank that's going to come through. This is record time right now. This is potentially record time from Auburn. They're going to have 5.5 minutes going into point C of... I'm speechless right now. They're going to have 5.5 minutes into point C of Circuit Royale.
Oh!
Wow, that was...
Read like a book. Read like a book. Wow. Wanted to go for the play, wanted to go for the hero play. Look at Kobe, he says, would have been crazy. Would have been crazy. And he's right, it absolutely would have been. And as that double bomb, now triple elim from Andrew comes through, 5 minutes remaining on the clock. And I think Auburn University feeling a little bit, maybe disappointed that happened. But how can you be upset with 5 minutes on the clock? They're more than ready to walk away with this map win. But that's 4 players down in a row now.
That it is, and they've lost a lot of ults. They're coming in with 2 ults versus 2 ults and infrasight on the side of UT Arlington. I barely counted as an ult, but that's an early pick on the Brad. These snipers have really been showing up for both of these teams, and they've been the deciding factor as to who gets that early first pick.
Yeah, I agree. I think we are seeing that kind of circumstance where we're looking at a little bit of that existing sniper value. They're playing on a stage here on Circuit Royale where it's a little bit easier to be that sniper and just kind of smaller things like that. But I want to see UTA perform perhaps a little bit more consistently. We're seeing some random shots, some great openers, but it's never really that guaranteed elimination they need to be looking for. Kobe goes in off the back of the Dragons, puts the shield up, farms this damage, 70% to a Gravitic Flux. Tags is gone. Andrew has to remech. The Nano's out. The Accretion will not get caught by the defense matrix, and as the shield tanks a majority of that damage, Andrew has to try and peel. Obese Chicken still lives to tell the tale. This is incredible. Nearly 4 minutes on the clock. I don't think we're looking at record time anymore, but we are still looking at a hell of a run from our friends at Auburn University.
I mean, and that's the thing, is even with this ERE play from Obese Chicken, is it's exactly how this character was meant to be played. This character was meant to push forward, be aggressive, and leave that healing turret down. 3 minutes and 32 seconds on Circuit Royale is bananas. I know you say that this is like the most complete point. I feel like...
Well, the second one, not point 3, the second point.
Yeah, second point is one of the most difficult points in all of Overwatch, I would argue.
Oh, wait, no, I misunderstood what you were saying. I was wrong. No, you're right. This third one is one of the hardest. The second point is one of the most consistently capped. So it's actually a bit of a catch-22. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an incredibly difficult map to full cap. Once you get point A is incredibly difficult. I'd say point B is pretty easy. 3 minutes and 32 seconds, irregardless.
Yes.
Is massive. It's insane. That is something that I think that's probably the highest time bank I've ever seen in my time casting on this map. That's incredible.
I can't recall higher. Yeah, I think you're right. I can't recall higher on this map. I mean, this is a very, very large time bank for Auburn to work with. And I assume with the Reaper that we're seeing right now, a very fascinating choice. But I think we're going to be going for kind of a hyper-aggressive out the gate, going for a tackle defense, what I always love to call the Havana hold, right? Getting up close and personal, creating that necessary space, and looking for those opportunities to succeed could be very helpful to this team. But I don't know. This is going to be a fascinating option because if Auburn gets stamped out in the first... Oh, wait, you're... Huh? Is Brad just trying to read a Widow pick here? Is that this entire point?
Is Brad just trying to punk Buckle?
I kind of hope so. I kind of hope so.
Let's see if Brad can... I feel like a children's show host. Can you spot the Reaper?
Oh, no!
Riptide did.
Everything Brad did is for nothing. Buckle got eliminated anyway. Devastating, but that's all right. That's the opening they needed. Jupiter's gone. K is out of here, and Kobe just lining them up and stomping them out of the equation. Riptide, another headshot on the Buckle.
Was that headshot?
That is a painful one. That is a Hanzo moment if I've ever seen one.
Oh, launch in the logs, the forest getting thrown at University of Texas, and Auburn holding them in spawn. This is incredible. I find myself time and time again stunned by this Auburn squad as Buckle is going to punk the Brad right back.
Buckle finally gets that vengeance pick, if you will, finally able to take the Brad out of the equation. And I'm actually surprised Brad's not swapping. It feels like Auburn's silly nature is not going to escape them, even in a moment like this. They know how large their time bank is. They know they've got a lot of wiggle room to work with, but Buckle is locking in 2 eliminations now. Not able to find that third, but still creates the space necessary for UTA to finally rear that second corner of Circuit Royale. Half their time bank gone.
At their time bank completely gusted, and they're coming up to a lot of ultimates, but none of them are right there right now. But Auburn, they have the ults to use early, and no one having any defensive ultimates means this is going to be a bit of an arms race, as there's the shots.
Ooh, Tags is going to get a trade out there with Riptide, but Riptide now puts down a double, trying to find a third in the form of Andrew, but just can't get that value fast enough. Bionid goes out. Riptide gets a bit more confident. Wants to get that lineup. No way. No, don't do it. You don't even have Death Blossom. You don't even have Death Blossom. He's faking. It's a lie. It's a setup. It's a ruse. Oh, my goodness. Unbelievable.
Oh my gosh. The facade. The feint from Brad. And this is such a silly, goofy team. And they are upsetting like an incredibly strong opponent. And there's the shot from Riptide again. Auburn University finding that pick once more. The sniper's just over the top.
Yeah, Riptide is lethal on this Hanzo. We've got the Gravitic Flux going up, taking away from K's ultimate there. Tags is gone, Jupiter down, Immortality Field has been deleted, and I assume the rest of UTA will be joining it back in that spawn room pretty darn tootin' soon here. I think they are going to be able to find that slow burn play style once more. A 1-for-1 trade. Obese Chicken goes down, but with only 60 seconds remaining, I think UTA is unfortunately looking at a loss today.
I mean, they'd only have their sniper ultimates, and you got the Brad with the Death Blossom. Such a feast or famine ult, and hey Brad, everyone knows where you are right now. Why are you sneaking around? Why are you trying to Metal Gear?
Do it, Brad. Do it anyway. Oh!
Why are you sneaking around?
A for effort. You gotta respect the hustle. Unfortunately, he just can't find that lineup like he wanted to. Tags and Buckle are gonna find 2 eliminations. That actually should guarantee them this first point cap, and that'll stall out this map just a little bit longer.
It will, but with 2.5 minutes on the clock, they guaranteed cannot get the same time bank as Auburn. They are going to finish with less time, and it's not as big a deal as it would be on hybrid, but they're staggering out this Sigma.
Oh, that's brutal. Kobe goes down.
Wait, Brad, chase it.
No, Brad, what are you?
We did not.
Okay, Brad has to reel it in. Brad, you gotta reel it in. Gotta be switching. At this point, you can toss out these ultimates like they're free. And as the Gravitic Flux goes up, I think both these players may go down. Suzu is going to be Yuzu'd, but it's not going to get the space. Kitsune even from Auburn. They just refuse to lose a fight. They lose a fight. They're like, actually, no, and they all press Q, and it's not working. It's not working, K-Wing.
No, it truly is not. And the Brad is still on this Reaper. Threw in that ult like he was about to switch and then said, no, I don't think I will. Actually, I think I'm going to stay. Oh, nope, onto the Tracer. Never mind, I lied. Nano onto the Sigma, though.
Nano onto Sigma is going to be pretty critical there. Andrew goes down. 90 seconds left. I mean, look, they got the second point almost completely for free after a couple of staggers, but it is finally going to be stalled out by Kobe, I think, with a 3K there, taking a huge chunk of UTA out of the equation. 80 seconds remain. UTA has almost one ultimate to work with. Auburn, the same to be said. So, K-Wing, is this just going to be a one fight of fundamental indifference? Is it going to be a fight of just trying to get that space as quickly as possible?
I don't know, because UTA, they have a lot more ults, a lot closer than Auburn. I mean, they're close to this Captive Sun.
Sure.
They're close to the tank ult, where Kobe just used theirs. So for UTA, there's a lot left on the board, but Jupiter gets hit with the anti-nade early. If they're going to get picked off, it's really bad.
Obese Chicken into tags. Going to be able to find that Elim early. The Brad's Tracer gets Immortality Field out of the equation. Kobe takes down Jupiter, and with 40 seconds remaining on the clock, all of a sudden, this is a dominant fight for Auburn University once again.
And that's just it. Auburn, they completely negate that opening up from tags, and now they have a bit of an ult advantage. They're about even in terms of ults, and they get these early picks. They're not even trying to let this fight go on. For UTA, they're stifling them right in spawn. And there's nothing they can do. They can't even get out of spawn to use their ult properly.
Oh, wow. Tags just deleted by the Brad there. Goes for the standstill after the Elim. My goodness. Ooh. Buckle again, just pulverized out of the equation. It looks like we see a Gravitic Flux in an attempt to touch, but they are going to get accretion up and out of the sky. Jupiter pops that Yachty ultimate just to make the space. They can't get the value off of it, and the remaining two members of UTA will slowly but surely be eliminated off this card. Maybe a pick onto Riptide if they're lucky, but they can't even find that in a moment like this one. Kitsune out from Obese, just to rub salt in the wound, and that is where it becomes the beginning of the end of this matchup. Auburn, they're going to be able to walk away with a 3-1 victory.
What a victory from Auburn. And it wasn't just a victory from Auburn. It was barely... They were fairly in control the entire way through. You could argue there were moments where UTA had their time to shine. You talk about their King's Row attack. You talk about that round 2 of Ilios. And those were really it. At any other point, it seemed as though it was Auburn's day in the parade. It was their day to shine. And they did just that, taking out UTA with incredible efficiency. And I mean, we came into this saying that, you know, we don't really know a lot about Auburn, but we are sure as hell going to start learning, because that was quite the performance. Taking a map off of UTA, off-rolling with your your tank playing support, your support playing tank, with just a shuffle of the deck of players, you have to be looking at Auburn as a very strong contender. Maybe not like King of the North, but they are certainly vying for the throne.
Without a doubt, Auburn is looking mighty good, and if we're lucky, we may have the opportunity to chat with one of them in just a couple of minutes. So we're going to go ahead and throw it to a break. We'll be back either with an interview or with our next series, which will be University of Connecticut versus BGSU. Anyway, Overwatch 2 coming back at you in just a couple of minutes. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the EGFC Overwatch 2 Season 5 Thursday night broadcast stream. I am Septilins, joined by Kayling, and we are now joined by Kobe. And Kobe, I'm going to ask you to confirm this for me because I made a hypothesis during the broadcast. The actual tank player of Auburn University, yes?
Correct. Okay. I'm the actual tank player.
Yeah, no, you busted out that Ramattra, and I was like, oh, he looks way too clean with that. That has to be a familiar thing. But I'm going to say, I mean, you guys are looking really good. We went into this with little to no expectation. I had not had the opportunity to see Auburn so far, and I want to ask, going into the EGFC, was there anything you guys were looking to do, of course, other than win, right? Are you guys coming in to say, like, our name may not be the most recognizable right out the gate, but we're confident that one day we can meet that equation?
Oh, most definitely. We're, in my opinion, one of the best teams in collegiate Overwatch. Obviously, we're not your Maryville, your Redbird, your Fisher, but no doubt we're one of the top teams in my opinion. And I think I saw this league, it looked like a good opportunity, and I was like, okay, yeah, we can take this league, we can make a name for ourselves.
I mean, well, if you keep playing like that, you might just do so. I have to ask, throughout, like at the end of Kings Row, you had a pretty close one. What was the attitude coming in after that break, coming in to New Junk City, that allowed you to turn it around so thoroughly?
So if I'm being completely transparent with you guys, we kind of determined that, maybe these guys can hold their own and we should actually play our own roles, but we can play whatever we want. We weren't bummed. We were just ready to get back into it, get the map, get back in the win column. But yeah, we just had to come back and establish ourselves map 3.
Well, you did just that, and I will ask, I'll ask, I mean, we talked a little bit about this before we jumped in, is we were talking about some of those bigger names in the EGF scene. We were talking about Hawaii, we were talking about Delaware. Do you think that you guys can take out those teams and really make a name for yourself? Because you're facing one of them very soon.
Completely honest with you, I don't think we can. I know we can. Like, those names do not strike any fear in me. We could probably 3-0, probably couldn't off-roll, but we probably should 3-0 them. I mean, I knew as soon as we beat William and Mary, very good team, by the way, that we were going to win this league after we hadn't scrimmed in like 2 weeks and came out 3-0'd them. But yeah, Delaware, Hawaii don't really scare me. I'd like to see what they got, though. Maybe it'll be a little bit more entertaining than tonight.
Music to my ears, Kobe. Music to my ears, let me tell you. And I do just have one more question for you, and then we're going to let you skedaddle because we got to get our next series up and running. But I do want to ask, you guys brought out several pretty unconventional characters today. Characters we don't have the chance to see super often. We're looking at Moiras and Junkrats. We had a Roadhog in map 1. Now, is that... we're so good we're going to play whatever we want? Or do your hero pools actually have that level of versatility where you can still perform to that caliber on those off-kilter characters we don't see as often?
My teammates are some of the best players I've ever played with. They can play absolutely anything. Obese Chicken, the Brad, absolute dogs. They can play anything, top to bottom. I think we're just that good. We can play whatever we want, whenever we want, and run it down. Especially Roadhog. I'm gonna be honest, guys. I completely cowered out of playing Roadhog. I'm not comfortable on him. And Brad said I want to play the Hog, so I gave it to him. That's just me being transparent.
That is,
and he
popped off. I love that. And he popped up. Yeah, it was worth it. You guys looked really good. So it was a worthwhile swap. But Kobe, big congrats, man. We are super excited to see you go toe-to-toe with Hawaii next weekend. And thank you for taking, or next week, excuse me. And thank you for taking the time to join us tonight.
Yeah, appreciate y'all having me on.
Appreciate you. And with that, folks, we are going to go ahead and rush to a break here so we can get Bowling Green State University and the University of Connecticut ready for our second of 3 series here tonight. We'll see you right back here on the EGFC in just a few.
You've probably heard their names whispered on hushed tones, but really great teams, and they're looking to be squaring off here today. So I'm pretty excited because we saw quite the banger before we went to break.
We did.
With that 3-1 victory of Auburn over UTA. So we go now to 2 teams looking to also really push themselves forward the way that Auburn was.
And my favoriteest thing about the EGFC is the map pool doesn't change. We've got a banger map pool this week. We've got 2 of my favorites back to back. Ilios into Kings Row, into New Junk City, which, all right, whatever. Into Circuit Royale, which is a banger, in the Coliseum, which, all right, whatever. But we've got a majority of some pretty banger maps, K-Wing, and I'm really excited because I know BGSU, they enjoy Kings Row. They're pretty good at control, and I'll say they're very good at push. They have, to my knowledge, the fastest push time rate just in the EGFC that I'm aware of. So part of me is like, you know, maybe they want to get to map 5. Maybe they want to try to delay things. But if they can win in a 3-0, and I will say, I believe they can, they're going to try to shoot that out as fast as possible.
Yeah, this is the match we thought was going to be the closest. So knowing our luck, it's going to be a complete 3-0 from BGSU. But I think UConn definitely has the gas in the tank to take this as well. Because, I mean, like you said, very good on control, very good on Kings Row, but that means that UConn has some opportunities to find some cracks in the armor and to go forward. We're going to start on Ilios.
Ooh, Ilios Lighthouse. So actually, and starting where we ended in our most previous series here on Ilios was this 3rd stage. And University of Connecticut, they've got a couple of familiar players. We've got Rich and Nelson, Tiz guys who have been around for a little while. And BGSU, they're bringing out actually somewhat of a modified roster than normal. I feel like last week we did not see Night Levels or Zoloft. I don't remember if Grant was there or not. I'm having a bit of a memory wipe here, but I know the BGSU, Nightmare and Shady Snare are 2 very familiar players and 2 pretty talented ones at that, but I am confident when I say this is not BGSU's traditional full roster, so that may inhibit their chances tonight.
Very well, it might as they start pushing out. It's early positioning on the sides of Ilios Lighthouse as BGSU starts to roll out. They're sitting in the side waiting. What are they doing in here? What's the play that's going to come out from UConn? They're just sitting in They're just sitting there.
They getting silly. They getting silly, goofy with the TP right into sight. It's going to be a bit of a flashbang onto BGSU. The turrets go up. BGSU fully evacuates the site as quickly as possible, and Grant has to make that space. But playing Junker Queen into a May Symmetra Rhine, you are going to be tanking damage way more than you ever want to. Immortality Field goes down for both sides. Zoloft maybe the first one to get caught out, but instead it's Nels taken down by Shady Snare. Genji with no Ana. Often, like a bird with no wings, difficult to get away when they need to, but Grant's Co. not able to find that space either. Nightmare goes down, and UConn 1/5 done with stage number 1 of Ilios.
Yeah, a really smart set play there, as they knew that if they got right up and personal with BGSU, they could force them to just scatter to the wind, and that's exactly what happened. I just saw BGSU, they didn't really approach the point together once they had been scattered away. They just kind of pushed in from all angles. They didn't really have a unifying, point. They weren't playing as a death ball, and they got picked off one by one. So now coming in at 50%. They're really looking to push together and push out this Reinhardt because Junker Queen's gonna struggle.
Yeah, Junker Queen is going to continue to struggle, and with an Earth Shatter on the side of Rich. Oh! I thought I was going to hit nobody, but Rich somehow catches out the Lucio. Immortality Field will go down. Grant is going to join it in just a moment. The Mei wall into that Amplification Matrix is going to be devastating for the odds of BGSU to turn this fight around. Unfortunately, it is not going to end well in favor of Bowling Green. They're going to have 4 ultimates moving into this next engagement, 4 to be answered from University of Connecticut. So, K-Wing, this is going to be a sloppy one.
And I'm looking at, whenever it's a big ult fight like this, I look at those defensive ultimates. I look at the Immortality Fields, and I look at that sound barrier that could come out from Tiz and from Nightmare. They need to negate a bunch of ults.
We hear the beat come out for the Blade. Shady is going to get frozen out by the Blizzard, and it's going to be a huge one. A 4K in favor of UConn. That's going to be all 5 members out of BGSU's pocket back into spawn. A dominant victory for the University of Connecticut here on map number 1.
Yeah, and that, especially when you're talking about a victory on the rush, is really, really good. It is great pretensions for the rest of this map pool going forward.
Ilios, Well, and BGSU are in a tough spot. They're in a bit of a pickle here, some might say. They're going to stick to the Junker Queen. It feels like that's where Grant is possibly most comfortable. And with Rich swapping out of the Sigma, Junker Queen is again going to struggle. We're going to see the freeze into the accretion, into slowing down and getting out. But Grant, okay, I just got like a flashback. I do remember Grant playing Doomfist. I just don't remember how good it was. So this is the time to find that out. Night levels onto the Echo, going to be answered out by Eclipse. It feels like UConn unknowingly made a lot of very valuable swaps to cancel out what BG's trying to bring to the table here for stage 2.
Yeah, you have to look at these stuns and how effective they're going to be onto Grants, and whether or not that Doomfist is going to be counteracted by the accretion, by the freeze of this Mei, of this Sigma, and whether or not Grants can still get some value, because already dropping low.
Oh, Grants is gone. Knight is gone, and Shady on Tracer. I'm not particularly fond of Tracer just right now at all, if I'm being honest. She's not, I think, one of the strongest DPS in the game. She lacks a lot in terms of performance, at least in my opinion. And I'd like to see maybe a bit of a swap from Shady there. Night Level's bringing out the new Sombra variant, which we've gotten the opportunity to see a few times here at the EGFC, but BGSU, they've just got to pick something and stick to it, because if they continue to play musical chairs with these character swaps, they're never going to have ultimates, and ultimates is how you win the game. Simple as that.
And UConn has such a powerful position here, just going to let BGSU engage through the chokes and have that Mei wall right and ready to section off half that team and shut them down. And as they look toward the flank, there's the dive from this Doomfist. Can they find the pick onto Eclipse?
Oh, accretion! Ooh. Accretion moment, haha, and that is going to be Grant going down, taken offline, and with an bio nade onto Eclipse. Night Levels will be able to find the trade thanks to the new translocator, but unfortunately, I just don't think that's going to be enough space. Night Levels, actually, now that I'm thinking, definitely a new player for the BGSU. I don't know if that's actually like in terms of this year or whatever it may be, but I do not recall seeing that name before today. So there's a very real possibility that's a character, a player getting a chance to make their debut here tonight.
Yeah, and doing pretty well so far, but it just has not been enough against UConn, as they're really in control. No ults very close, except for maybe that pulse bomb to the side of BGSU. For UConn, they are too close to another. So this fight might just be an exercise in futility.
Yeah, very much so. Kelp with this Mei is going to be able to get a little bit of space onto BGSU once again, zoning off the tank, taking Grant down, and University of Connecticut should have this possibly final fight here in the bag with the performance we have seen up to this point, K-Wing. That is going to be 12 seconds left, or 22 seconds left to cap. A Blizzard and a Gravitic Flux. A couple of ultimates from BGSU, but unfortunately the ultimates have just not gotten the value we've been looking for up to this point.
No, they really haven't, but I mean, going forward, BGSU, they have some ults. They have 3 coming up. Tiz guy has that really great beat that needs to come through and get some value, but already that aggression.
The aggression comes out. 2 players have gone down. BGSU gets a couple of eliminations, keeping things close, neck and neck with one another. Eclipse finds a 2-piece with the overclock up and running, just trying to get that necessary space. Zoloft takes down Rich. Shady Snare will fall to Eclipse once more, and they are just cleaning up the remaining members of a BGSU. University of Connecticut is going to win map number 1, Ilios, in a 2-0 fashion.
What an incredible play from Eclipse. I mean, I think that was a 4-piece from Eclipse to seal that map, and really amazing play. I think really amazing tank play, especially from UConn, just by how aggressive they were on every single composition that they played. Both the Reinhardt and the Sigma, they played very well around those corners. They played really well around the chokes, and it's so far dominant from University of Connecticut. That is 100-0.
I think what we see is, you can't be a dominant tank without good supports. And I think Nels getting play of the game is like the perfect icing on that cake of they have very talented supports right now. Nels in particular is doing a great job on that Baptiste, equalizing the healing with the damage and creating necessary space to make it a little bit more valuable for University of Connecticut to get that victory. Our second map is going to be Kings Row, and the Reinhardt from the University of Connecticut looks very good. Very, very good. So playing into that, I'd like to see BGSU maybe mirror that a little bit. I don't know if Grant is comfortable on the Rhine. If you're not, maybe give the Zarya a swap. That's always a possibility. And there's just a lot of fascination here, K-Wing, that I'd like to see some changes from BGSU. They felt a little bit scatterbrained, one might say. They felt a little bit uncertain or shaky on the choices they were making. And I think that uncertainty is exactly what cost them. The moment you hesitate is the moment you lose. And I think they do kind of find that out the hard way.
And one thing that I think we all learned from our last match is that if you just full commit onto something silly and goofy, if you do something stupid together, it's not as stupid as doing something stupid alone.
Well, yeah, what's the phrase? If it's stupid but it works, it was never stupid, or something like that, right? It's like, if you can make it work, if you can pick a character that's, maybe not meta, but you're comfortable on, it's incredibly valuable to work with. So I'm never one to hate on the meta, so to speak.
Completely. I mean, I would use the Planet of the Apes. I would use the apes together strong, but I mean, Falcons together just as strong. So I'd really love to see that from BGSU, taking some changes here and really committing to them full stop with your, if you're gonna play the Rhine, if you're gonna play the Zarya, if you're gonna play the Doomfist, say it with your whole chest. Come on.
And what is BGSU going to BGS do as we jump into map BGS2, Kings Row?
Stop.
People have to be a little bit curious if they're going to be making these swaps. Right at the beginning of the map, I said, I don't recognize a couple of these names. I think BGSU is getting a little wacky with it. I think they're bringing in a couple of people that we don't see particularly often here in the EGFC. And I think due to that nature, due to that fact, they may actually be struggling a little bit in terms of coordination and communication. They're bringing in players possibly from a junior varsity team that are showing up a little bit late and not being able to adapt fast enough. That adaptation, I cannot stress enough, goes a very, very, very long way, if not utilized correctly. And I think that is that moment of uncertainty here where they need to be a little bit more coordinated. Their plays need to be a little bit safer. Best way to do that is most likely to just slow things down a little bit, play slower compositions, bring out a character like a Reinhardt, maybe a Sigma, go for characters like Mei, Reaper, Junkrat. Characters that are traditionally bunched up together are going to have a much higher rate of survival overall.
Yeah, and we see BGSU showing this Junker Queen.
I like everything but the Junker Queen, might I say.
Yeah, I was going to say I like everything except the Junker Queen here. I really would love the Reinhardt because the Junker Queen thrives on playing quick, on just getting in your face, and she struggles a lot when she tries to brawl. And with UConn coming in on this sort of season 6 Sigma brawl composition, I really think that she might get out-poked here. That Sigma's going to play just within arm's reach and not let that shotgun get to its effective range.
The fight begins, and things get a little bit shaky overall. but nobody goes down yet. These teams nearly mirrored except for the tank, and I think Sigma is going to be notably more valuable in this circumstance than a Junker Queen is going to be for that eat and that eat alone. Walking not into, but through the Bastion, flanking into the back line, creating that necessary space and value makes it nearly impossible for somebody to get that value through and through. I'd love to see BGSU go for a high damage composition right now. Maybe even swap the Mei out with a Junkrat here. I think could be a very beneficial choice to make.
I do too. Swapping out that Mei and just trying for a high burst hero could be the X factor you're looking for. But now as they start to roll out, they're just going to get out called here. I'm really concerned for this Junker Queen.
Ooh, Rich will finally go down. I thought they were going to be able to live to tell the tale, but unfortunately that is just not in their lineup here today. Pressure moves out, Rich goes down in a blink of an eye and will not be able to find the necessary space. Eclipse and Tiz guys fall as well, and BGSU, I don't even want to call it sloppy, just a little rough perhaps. They do break through, they do look pretty strong on the other side, and they are going to be able to cap first point Kings Row.
They are absolutely going to be able to cap first point, but now moving forward, UConn are going to be holding at this archway, and this is a really tight choke to try and break through. There's not a lot of ways to go around it that aren't also incredibly tight chokes, so they're going to struggle here. They need this blizzard, and they need this window to strike true, but they've already lost their BAP.
Oh, Gransko gets walled in a little bit, but he wants to give a bit of a "you're not trapped," or "I'm not trapped in here with you, you're trapped in here with me" energy. The Rampage up and online. They take Rich away. I assume they're going to hold on to the Rampage because they don't really need to over-aggress much further. They need to scare this team off, maybe catch 1 or 2 on the way out, and Nels may be the one! Just does not get the boots up high enough. Nels will finally fall, and BGSU, very, very strong lead to continue moving forward.
Yeah, a very strong lead. As that push comes through, UConn, 5 ults coming up, but that early pick from BGSU really sealed the deal, really got them through. So this next fight, UConn, the question is, how many ults do you need versus how many do BGSU use? Because you can only really use about 1 more.
Rampage goes out online. The beat drop from Nightmare is not going to be able to keep the team up long enough. My goodness, nearly 5 ultimates going to be used, 6 in total, 3 per side. And it looks like it is going to come out in favor of the University of Connecticut. 3 members still standing from BGSU. Shady Snare's artillery strike goes down just 1% shy of being able to make a difference here in the fight. And the remaining members of BG have to tuck tail. They have to try and get through to the break point, get back to their spawn, and not feed any additional ult charge. 3.5 minutes, 1 artillery strike, and a dream. BGSU got to try to take this next fight.
They have to. And with this next fight, they're coming up. That's an early artillery strike. Can they find the picks is the question. It's gonna come out early, lifted into the air. It's not looking good.
Gonna get picked up and Grant taken down like a bag of rocks. Shady Snare gets taken down by Eclipse, and once again, the University of Connecticut should be able to walk away with this victory. That is gonna be a strong performance. UConn, they cut that fight down. 3 minutes left, a full minute plus off the clock.
Yeah, a full 3 minutes off the clock. BGSU already looking a bit rough. There's the blizzard on the line for night levels. That's their hope. That's the thing they're preying on right now. But there's the window from Nels, which could shut them down immediately. But that's the only ult they're going to have for the upcoming fight as well. So there's a lot on the line here. Oh, no.
Hell of a blizzard from night levels, but unfortunately not enough to catch much. Okay, no, here we go. The dominoes are beginning to fall. Not as fast as I anticipated, but a win is a win. Rich and Kelp are going to be taken down. The remaining 3 members of UConn are going to tuck tail and get out of dodge. And I got to say, there is something really fascinating about UConn's team composition. The second they lose their tank, they're like, all right, sick, run, get out of there. Just leave as fast as possible. And that's not something we see from a lot of teams, especially at the collegiate level. A lot of people tend to overstay their welcome, and UConn, they are fully past that point. It's a very intelligent play that I do want to call attention to.
Yeah, it's smart. When you lose your tank, you lose that linchpin, you lose the core of your team. So you really can't stay much further past the engage already happening.
Slow and steady, Rampage into a wall, but the wall goes down. Nels is crit, Rich is gone, and this Bastion sure as hell ain't making it out of this one. That is going to be a dominant fight win in favor of BGSU. Only 2 ultimates used, I believe, in that engagement, but Beat, unfortunately, will not be charged quick enough for the next engagement, possibly for another minute or 2, so they're gonna have to win this one dry and as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and they're going in against a fight of 4 ultimates from UConn. This fight is just going to be a matter of can BGSU draw out a lot of ults from UConn.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, it's just the one.
The wall up onto Shady was just devious, absolutely lethal. Takes Shady Snare out of the equation, and as this tank gets walled in, Grant will be the next one to go down. Rich finds one, Nels another, and just when you think UConn's going to get taken over, they bunker down, they come out just as strong, and they continue to dominate.
Yeah, and they only use that one ult like we were talking about. And now BGSU, you know, they've charged up some of their ultimates. They're at 2 check marks on the board, but look at UConn sitting there with 4. With a minute 50 seconds, with only about 100 seconds left on the board. 2 fights. BGSU, they're just trying and draw out as many ults again from UConn because UConn's just playing so smart around these ults.
UConn playing very intelligently around these ultimates, and as a Blizzard comes out, an Artillery Strike does as well. Now a 2-1 trade in favor of the University of Connecticut, but Eclipse goes down, giving BGSU another opportunity to take that advantage space with a critical spawn disadvantage. They're going to struggle a little bit to find the opportunity to move forward, to get the healing, or to even get eliminations. UConn continues to roll through them, taking this team up and offline, and once again has shortened us down to sub 1 minute now on the board.
Yeah, but I think that was a really big ult fight from UConn. They used 3 on 4, actually 4 of their ultimates. They used all 4 that they had. They only have the Blizzard now. BGSU are coming up onto 3, including the Beat, which can completely negate this Blizzard if used correctly. So BGSU, they're looking at this is their last fight. This is their last chance to complete this map. Otherwise, it might be all over. This Blizzard, though, into the back line.
It could be all over unless this Blizzard works wonders. A Rampage out late
Gets
from Grant is going to be able to find a lot of critical value against the University of Connecticut. 2 players now have gone down, 1 per side. Zola has fallen with that garage door online. Amplification Matrix will not be opened up. And as we play a bit of tiny Overwatch here, BGSU is not going to be the ones to come out on the winning side. Rich is going to get cryo-freezed inside by Night Levels. A very clever play, taking Rich offline. Shady Snare goes down to Nelson. University of Connecticut should eventually be able to win this fight off of the spawn advantage alone. It is going to be a stall and a long one, but I do think BGSU will unfortunately lose this due to that spawn disadvantage.
And a really great wall coming up top from Nels on the side of UConn. The switch onto the Arista is going to do them great. And University of Connecticut will seal that right off. Round 1, pretty good, but I really think the struggle was with that Junker Queen play for BGSU. I really wish we'd seen a little bit of a slower comp because we had a lot of struggles with that speed, with that really quick style.
I think something we're running into, and it seems like we're running into it pretty consistently, BGSU is, they can play Junker Queen or they can play Doomfist. And Doomfist was absolutely just demolished earlier. Just deleted from this mortal coil. And I think there's a little bit to do with that. You know, okay, I'll default to Junker Queen. Junker Queen's not, I mean, the Rampages are huge. But any other time we're seeing the Junker Queen, I'm not getting that same level of value. So I really wouldn't mind just swapping to something else. Something a little more aggressive, perhaps. That could go a long way in terms of general benefit for BGSU. And it looks like Grant is listening. We're possibly going to get a Sigma here, which I think is a very smart play.
Yeah, I was going to say, how are you feeling about a Sigma?
I like it.
I love it. I love it. I like the play.
My fear is it's into Rhine Bastion May. That's my biggest concern.
Yeah. I mean, they are going to play it with a very heal-heavy composition with Nightmare and Zoloft on the BAP Iari, but it's still going into May Bastion. That is a lot of damage that's going to come out from them, and they don't have as high HP of a shield as that Reinhardt will, so these kinetic grass are going to have to be very high value from BGSU if they want a chance to stand alive on this defense.
With a non-existent shield, Kinetic Grasp is going to be all you have in a circumstance like this. A huge wall up from Kelp does turn into a bit of tiny Overwatch. Night Levels has to cryo freeze to stay alive in the engagement. Both May walls go down. Immortality Field from Zoloft comes out a little bit early, but it keeps the team alive and creates the opportunity they needed. Unfortunately, not everybody can live forever, and Nightmare will be the first one to bite that bullet. May wall up, the Rhine pinned in, Rich deleted, but Zoloft going to join them back in the spawn room. A triple kill from YouTube. Kelp will be able to give UConn that victory they need. 40 seconds off the clock, and already we are seeing fundamental value from this May pick.
Yeah, 5 minutes and 45 seconds on the board for UConn as BGSU beaten away. This is a very high time bank. It's not uncommon for Kings Row, but when you're coming up onto this window with 94%, 99, now it's complete, you're coming up onto this window, that could be basically a automatic win for the next fight if it's used properly. If it really gets that value, BGSU will have almost nowhere to go.
BGSU going to be pinned down. Eclipse, also shout out Eclipse using my favorite Bastion skin. I doubt they knew that, but still fun. Standing behind this Rhine and just firing desperately into the walls of Kings Row. May gets caught out, the bomb to boot. Night Levels having a nightmare of their own, and Sigma going to be staggered all the same. I do like what Grant did there. Very simple, but a very effective play of just dying as fast as possible. Moving forward, very important, all things considered, and I'm anticipating Grant to swap. I feel so smart. Onto the Orisa. Grant's go is going to swap onto the horse here. And it looks like that is going to be pretty. Honestly, I love the Orisa. Counters May, counters Bastion, counters Rhine. Maybe not all at the same time, but still, I think going to be a leg up for BGSU's defense because right now they definitely need one.
What is this flank blizzard? Is this a flank blizzard that's going to come in for you to
trick shot?
Oh, off the wall.
Doesn't find much, but it gets answered by a bit of a Venn diagram. Two go down on one side. Rich should go down. No! Grant not going down there is crazy. Or no, sorry. Rich not going down there is crazy. 10 HP on the board, but now 6 minutes locked and loaded here for the University of Connecticut on this time bank. They're looking to go up 2-0 before this series comes to a close.
And the ults are still pretty high value. You have the beat, you have the shatter, and you have the artillery. I'm most looking at this shatter from Rich. It's going to be what will send them through unless his artillery strike comes in huge. Captive Sun over the top.
Artillery strike is so tough to get elims with, but Shady Snare, I mean, look at that. Has been so consistent with him. It's able to find a double kill. I think found like 4 or 5 across the board in the most previous round. So a really impressive performance from Shady Snare, and I really do want to compliment that performance as it has been a pretty dominant one, all things considered. Bastion, a very fun character to play, and I love that he's meta right now. That's my hottest take. Night Levels heard me 7 minutes ago. I said I would love to see a Junkrat. They said, all right, your wish, my command. Here's some Junkrat for you. And I think this is a really, really good Junkrat point to work on. There's a lot of places you can just spam and get unbelievable value.
And in terms of ults, you got 2v2, and there you go, the aggression from Grant into the backline.
Grant getting really aggressive, pulls Rich in. The Orisa not going to work. Night Level's able to find the May as well. University of Connecticut going to lose some pretty important numbers. Bastion up and out of the air like a clay pigeon. Zoloft pins him down. BGSU will pick up the space they needed once again. Already a minute and 40 seconds off the clock. So a very dominant defense from BGSU. I wouldn't be surprised to see this action continue.
I mean, the thing I'm seeing though is that you have only Nels with that ultimate online. We saw how good that window can be. Oh, I mean, well, the Blizzard is also coming up for UConn. That's another reason UConn are going to be pretty devastating. Can Night Levels get this tire going? Wow. I might have just saved them.
Yeah, that is a huge play from Night Levels to get that Rip Tire up and running. It's not a flashy play, but it's a valuable one. You got the tank offline. You made the necessary space, and you got your team the opportunity to farm a couple more ultimates. They've got the Rising Sun. They're halfway to another Orisa ult. Zoloft has that amplification matrix. There's ways to make this work here for the side of BGSU, but it's going to involve a lot of patience, and I continue to dominate the discussion of patience because it's how BG is going to win this.
It really is, and now that's the early ults coming out from UConn. There's a lot in the back.
A lot of action out. The Blizzard is going to find a lot of value. Shady Snare and Zoloft gone. Grant goes down, and BGSU, they commit the only 2 ultimates they have. Okay, all right, a good pick on Kelp here. Nightmare still might give their life for it, but you've got enough time to respawn, I think, at least one more time, right? Is this it? Are we done? Oh, we would be done. Uh-oh. Okay, wait.
Well, you got the Tracer.
Okay, we're fine. I wasn't sure if Arisa was going to make it fast enough, but the Tracer did roll up. Zoloft goes down, and Shady Snare as well. University of Connecticut are going to be able to walk away with this map 2 victory, going up 2-0 on the series so far.
Going up 2-0 with a solid performance, a little bit of delay on Point Charlie, but, you know, that's just sometimes how it is. It is a pretty tough point on Kings Row, a entire map of tough points, and but I mean, 2 extra minutes on the clock when they completed this map is pretty impressive for UConn. It just shows you how ahead they are, and I mean, so far it has been all UConn all day.
Yeah.
So I mean, for BGSU, it just seems like they're not as flexible as they could be, and when things don't bend, they break.
Yeah. And we saw BGSU go up against William & Mary last week, and it actually was map number 3. It was the Flashpoint, where BGSU, I believe, took us all the way to point number 5 of Flashpoint. So that's where it really began to get hyper-aggressive for them, hyper-intensive. And I'm hoping they're going to have that same luck going into New Junk City. Whenever we get there, we're going to go ahead and throw it to a break for just a couple of minutes, and we'll see you right back here with some more EGFC Overwatch in just a bit. Don't go far. welcome back to the EGFC Overwatch Season 5. I am Severance, joined by K-Wing, and we are jumping into our third and possibly final map of this series, Suravasa's sister map, New Junk City. So we're going to be jumping into it in just a little bit here. One of two Flashpoint maps in the game right now. And K-Wing, I kind of referenced this right before we went to break, but I do want to say it again. You know, there was a time, last time I saw Bowling Green play, it was this map where they really started to light up.
Yeah, and I think for New Junk City, I also really love the save there of Suravasa's sister map, New Junk City. But for New Junk City, we talked about it last match, this is the place for a turnaround to happen. If it's bound to happen, well, it has to happen now, but this is probably the ideal place for it. That's why I love having Flashpoint in map 3, because if you're down 2-0, the turnaround can start right here, right now. It is it is high-paced control. It is control, but fast.
Yeah, it is control where instead of 1% per second, it's 1%, I believe, 0.07 seconds. So it moves a little bit faster. It takes only 83 seconds to cap a point from 1% to 100%. And we do see BGSU making a substitution. Zoloft is out and Evan BP is in. Evan, actually, as I'm seeing the name up on the roster there, is a more consistent player for the BGSU main roster here in the EGFC, and a pretty darn good support, if I'm not mistaken. So I feel like we are in for a bit of a treat here from BGSU as they get just one player closer back to their meta positions.
Yeah, I'm interested to see why they are coming out on, they're bringing out Evan at this last point, potentially just trying to bring in that Lucio, but we're sticking on this Junker Queen. I think if there's a place for it to work, it would be here.
Yeah, agreed.
UConn on this Sigma comp. It's going to be really difficult for BGSU on this Junker Queen.
Yeah, they've got the Sigma Shield up and running, and BGSU's Junker Queen already gone. They've got an absolutely absurd amount of damage available on the table, and it is going to deal a butt ton of it to BGSU in the blink of an eye. Rich there with a technical 3K on the board, making it near impossible for BGSU to do anything other than just fall down and try to respawn.
And I think that burst damage means that the Junker Queen's this like constant healing per second that you get from the bleed isn't going to be as helpful, because you're going to take 2 hyperspheres to the face, you're going to take an icicle, you're going to take the Junker Queen grenade, and you're going to take the Junker Queen grenade. You're going to take so much damage to the face that you just can't heal it through.
Kelp is going to go down. I wasn't sure if they were going to get Cryo online or not, but Grant gets the trade out there. So UConn, they lose the DPS for the form of their opposing tank. Moira goes in, a little bit of damage dealt onto Nels. Night Levels finds a cheeky pick. The Junkrat has not been able to get critical value yet, but still finding a lot of damage and finally tipping into that critical space. 65% and counting. So while it is a lot for UConn, it is not a game-winning percent. Instead, BGSU have a very realistic chance of possibly sneaking out this first point, especially 10% shy of this Riptire.
10% shy of this Riptire, but they need a quick fight. They cannot let UConn build up to all these ults that they're so close to within 20% of 4. So the Riptire over on the flank. They're ready, raring, and waiting. When are they going to let it loose? Here it goes.
Riptire up, and it's really, really quiet, actually. It is a very silent Riptire, but it is going to be a little bit of value for the University of Connecticut. Okay, there we go! Okay. 25% to another Riptire already. It's now a 3-2 trade in the favor of the University of Connecticut, but Rich is down. YouTube and Tiz guys, the only 2 left standing. BGSU, by the skin of their teeth here, might be able to capitalize on this victory.
Well, what a headshot! YouTube Kelp just actually pulled that out. That's incredible. That was
gotta do what you gotta do. Gotta do what you gotta do. Listen.
Wait, they need to stay alive? They throw out the blizzard.
No way, you're blizzarding!
No shot. They get the point off of that.
That was their goal all along, was to steal the point out from underneath. They wanted to make sure they didn't contest it for as long as possible, but as the rest of BGSU returns just a little bit quicker, you think things are going to work well for them. Shady Snare pulls play, gets taken out by Eclipse. It is going to be UConn winning this out off of the whack play from YouTube Kelp. Takes the Blizzard out, puts the team down, and now the University of Connecticut snatches away that victory there in stage number 1 of Flashpoint.
And a smart Blizzard too. And that position is going to get them early position on that second Flashpoint. but that Blizzard allowed the point cap to come so much earlier than it would have if Kelp had not been there and allowed UConn to approach that from a defensive fight, not a retake. And that was so important, so influential, as the Riptire is going to come out from Night.
Riptire out from Night Levels once again. We've been pretty critical of it so far, but they find the most important pick in the form of that opposing tank, so you gotta give credit where it's due. Night Levels putting the value out when it matters most. Nelson Tiz, guys, a bit of some Portal combat there in the kill feed. Eclipse goes down as well. We're tied up 3-3. And it looks like Night Levels will be the next to go down. Rampage up and running online. University of Connecticut. Oh my goodness, you think they're gonna have it, and somehow they always find that opportunity to surprise right at the end. BGSU barely able to win this one.
Well, it might not be, that might not be it as, nope, they're gonna come right back out. That is gonna be BGSU taking it, but a really scrappy fight and good delay from UConn. So it means they're gonna be right back in it. And BGSU is not gonna have much of anything to help them against this Blizzard that is already back up.
Blizzard up and running, and it should be a pretty big one for the University of Connecticut, but I'd love to see BGSU hit somewhere around, maybe ideally, we're talking 70%, but even up to 50 and 60 does almost guarantee them a victory if they can win one more fight after. There's no better way to bait out a Genji deflect than to throw a Moira Orb, and I truly believe that. They will go out of their way to deflect a Moira Orb if they get the chance, but right now, Shady Snare has this cooldown online, goes for a deflect once more, sends it up and out, and as the damage slowly ticks over time, we're just now approaching it. This is how quick it happens. That 70% threshold.
That
and the beat drop.
Good. Yeah, and the beat, this is last fight, but they get to pick Eclipse.
It's going to be even 4-4 on the board. Kelp and Night Levels have both gone down, but MVP holding on for dear life. Rich has been eliminated by Grant, who's finally got somebody on their level playing field. Grant is the one calling the shots, and they are going to continue to do so with incredible accuracy and aggression the way they have so far. Tiz guys goes down. It's a tie-up 1-1 here on Flashpoint.
Yeah, but it will be UConn taking defensive positions on next Flashpoint. So they're going to have a big advantage moving in. They also have the Coalescence versus BGSU's Coalescence. It's going to be tough, though, because BGSU is charging up to a lot of their big ultimates, both DPS ults and that tank ult within 30%. So they're going to have them in this next fight, especially if Night Levels can hit some really nasty mines. This could be overwhelming for UConn. They need a quick fight.
Oh, Coalescence has everybody bunkered down in this small room. Did not throw a damage orb beforehand, but Nightmare going to be able to heal a lot of the damage being dealt. These Moiras canceling each other out pretty aggressively. Oh, Shady Sarah's second blade to get deleted from this Moral Coil, and now it is just an absolutely lethal performance from the University of Connecticut. A lot of ultimates used, but Tiz guys with a 3K in the back pocket there, making it all for the better and a hell of a lot stronger. Very nicely done.
And a really good ult from Rich on the Junker Queen. I would say that sealed the deal. That, I think, was 3 or 4 people on the side of BGSU completely antied, just stuck in the mud. And now the Riptire coming out in what could be the last fight for UConn, or for BGSU, pardon.
BGSU needs to get in quickly, but Eclipse has this overclock online, and they have been absolutely dominating without it in their pocket, let alone to have it up and running. The Rampage from Grant is fully just removed. Second ultimate canceled by Eclipse, carrying the team University of Connecticut here across the board. Evans' beat, unfortunately, is quiet, and while BGSU threw every single ultimate they had at the wall, none of them were able to stick, in the University of Connecticut continues this dominance, takes stage number 3, and needs only one more to walk away with a 3-0 victory tonight.
BGSU looks as though they'll take some early position. It'll be an even fight for these two teams on next Flashpoint, but with that Blizzard, BGSU needs to watch out. Otherwise, Kelp is just going to freeze them in place and lock them up. Going on the flank and throws it in. That's aggressive.
Oh,
there's no one there.
Actually, I liked the flank. Did not like the throw. I think the positioning was a little rough. A lot of it got eaten by the natural architecture of the map, and while it could have been detrimental, UConn was so confident in their plan that Blizzard was more of a plan B than anything. It was more of just a confidence booster across the board. It looked pretty good, but UConn, they win without it, and now they're 80 seconds away from being able to walk away with a 3-0 victory here tonight.
Yeah, and with 3 ults coming into this next fight, depending on how long it takes, that could be last fight territory. BGSU are coming in with not many. They're gonna maybe get that coalescence, but that's all they really have to show in this next fight. So for BGSU, they need something big. They're just getting run over.
Shady Snare goes in for some damage, but Rich fully just runs away with the Rich Rampage. Nightmare and Evan are going to be taken down back to back, and that almost seals the nail in the coffin here. This is not what we want to be looking at, K-Wing, but it is, unfortunately, what's going to be happening here for BGSU. 70% now on the board for the University of Connecticut, and with a beat in their back pocket. BGSU needs nothing short of a miracle here to walk away victorious with Stage 3 and force Stages 4 and 5. Excuse me, with Stage 4 and force Stage 5.
And now they need this big Riptire to come through. That needs to be carrying the hopes and dreams right here.
Night Levels, oh, pulls it early, gets a little bit nervous because of the damage, and ends up costing a lot of space across the board. It's going to hurt the team detrimentally, as that ultimate was fundamental to the levels of their success. Nightmare's Coalescence is not going to be able to do much other than keep the team alive. Grant has a Rampage, but it's the startup that gets it obliterated. The pulse bomb from Shady, a move of desperation, and even that just can't find its spacing. This is the beginning of the end. University of Connecticut should emerge victorious against their opponents here tonight. BGSU, University of Connecticut, doing a phenomenal job fighting tooth and nail and emerging with a well-deserved victory on the other side.
An incredibly well-deserved victory from the University of Connecticut, 3-0, and looking dominant while they do it. Rich on this Junker Queen was a force of nature.
Yes.
And I mean, that's the Rampage we were talking about. Might not have shown up too much on the kill feed, as they were off really trying to hit that Moira with that shotgun blast. Really trying there. But it completely decided that team fight. That ult was incredible.
Yeah.
And came at a perfect time.
No, it was a beautiful ult, and it was an amazing job from the University of Connecticut. Their adaptation to cancel out the only tank line that BGSU could bring to the table. This game is tough when your tank is the one getting canceled out like that. So unfortunately, BGSU will get 3-0'd here tonight, but I did see things I liked. I saw signs of growth and improvement, and I've got to say, I'm a big fan of what BGSU is trying to bring to the table. I hope they're able to make it work further down the line. We're going to go ahead and throw it to a break here. We'll either be back with an interview with somebody from the University of Connecticut, or with our third series, University of Hawaii versus William and Mary, I think. So I'm pretty sure that's a banger matchup. Either way, we'll see you back here with more EGFC down the line. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to EGFC Season 5 Overwatch 2 Evening. I am Sephlins, joined by K-Wing, and we are now joined by the Junk Rich Queen himself, Rich, from the University of Connecticut. So, Rich, I gotta ask, man, you bring out a couple of wacky things there toward the end. We saw a Doomfist very temporarily. We saw a Junker Queen. I mean, are you just giving us a glimpse at all the depth you can bring to the table, or were you just playing what you thought you had to in moments like that?
Well, towards the end, we were just straight vibing, you know, we were just playing whatever we found fun, and, you know, we saw the Nell swap on the Moira as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I like to flex my hero pool when I can, but I mean, today it was more of just, playing what we thought was good into what they're running and trying to have a good time.
For sure.
Yeah, completely. I have to ask, on King's Row, did you have a... What was the plan specifically with Kings Row?
With Kings Row, so a lot of the stuff we were cooking in like scrims and stuff were surrounding like if they're playing like Sigma and stuff like that, or if they're like taking high ground, or if they're taking different angles. And so initially we were thinking about running Reinhardt Symmetra, but as we played the first map, we were like, we probably don't need to run this. And so we stuck out of spawn with like the Sig and the Bastion, and our plan is just to look for big Mei walls. Kelp's really good at that, and just moving in on them.
Yeah, and I mean, looking forward, a pretty dominant 3-0 win is going to push you guys up the standings. How far do you think you can go, and are there any teams you're particularly itching to get some revenge on?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I think this season's our season. I think last season we kind of struggled. I joined halfway through last split, but I think that this split we look very strong. I'm excited to face William and Mary next week. We had a close match at the end of last season, and so we're definitely itching for some revenge there. And we think we're gonna do well. I mean, and as the season goes, I'm sure we'll continue to show that we're up there.
Yeah, I think University of Connecticut has had a really kind of fun story in the sense of really just improving over time. I feel like there hasn't really been like a back step or a slip or anything. Each time I've seen you guys, you've continued to be more and more impressive. And I think today goes to show that, BGSU, they're no pushover of a team, and you guys really kind of ran through them in a dominant way. So I think you guys are kicking butt and taking names. Rich, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. And again, congratulations on your win.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, folks, we are going to go ahead and throw it to possibly a bit of a longer break. So our other channel had a bit of a delay, and those games have to finish before we start our next one. It's a whole bunch of production stuff that I don't need to entertain you guys with. So take this break, get some dinner, maybe take your dog on a walk. If you don't have a dog, go adopt a dog and take them on a walk, and spend this time however you'd like. But come back here for one more series, Hawaii versus William and Mary, certified banger. We'll see you right back here in just a bit with our final game of the series. Final game of the evening.